think it was only like 52% that wanted the long, because the market was weak this morning, everybody. I mean, we all know that. I mean, anyone that was here knew it, but what a rebound. Like, what can you even say? Like, I know, okay, get it, we're down 1.5% on the spot. On the NASDAQ, we're down 1.3% when it comes to the ES. But overall, like, I have to be really impressed with this. When I look at the SPY on a 3, it is just a clean trend back up. But I was saying this to Shreve, and I know I wouldn't want to change anything. I know you guys are doing a fantastic job with this. I don't know if the position board's right. I'm in GTI, that's about it. It would be interesting if when the vote's like 52%, like 52 to 48, like you'd say, okay, you take X amount. So if full position's like 1,000 for the playmaker trade, that if it's 52, that if it's like 52, maybe you take 520 shares, and if it's 100% the vote, then you take 1,000. Like, maybe use like the confidence level of the chat to give it some kind of a different look in terms of how much you take, and then see if that affects the equity curve. Because it's interesting that on a day where it was divided, it worked out so incredibly well. Oh no, well here, like I said, I was in GTI, and then now it's right back. This one was finally going. Once, twice. Okay, there was no OB thrice on GTI. If you're watching this one, this was the dollar hold level. It held a couple times, got to 120. And I just lost 105. So I'm not even in anything anymore. I just heard OB came in, and OB is the plunge protection team.
I mean, he's a little late. I mean, the market's up a couple hundred handles here, and then the bottom.
Yeah, it's too late for the PPT.
You know, PPT's already in full effect, but it's good to see OB here right now. Yeah, OB, you're feeling better, I guess, OB. Much better.
He's in white as well.
Much better.
Everybody's got a white sweater or a white shirt on, except for
That's how we're rolling around here, you know. This is more of a cream. I think it's closer to your color.
It's so weird that, like, actually it doesn't look like that on camera, but these aren't, whatever, it's fine. Just saying.
Okay, we're short. So we are just trying to stay short AMD here. So let's just wait to see what happens. I do obviously appreciate the fact that the markets ran upside. And when we left you guys at 11 o'clock, I was like, get ready for a midday run and possibly a run into the end of the day here. So being short, not a great idea. We'll wait though. 125.50 was sort of going to be the stopping spot. So we're very, very close to that right now to get stopped at. We're short at 32. Just thought we'd take another shot. This is something that worked here early on. We're not going to put the same kind of risk in these spaces right now into AMD. So we'll just wait for it. If it rips higher, we'll take this 20-cent hit. But that's something that I'm looking at right now. Looks like the market wants to run. So I think it's about time to flip over. Like, you just broke through VWAP right here, trying to hold out. I'm going to assume that Apple is making a move here. As these chip names continue to climb a little bit higher there, NVIDIA also trying to go. Apple, yeah, see, like they're all at VWAP. It's so crazy. AMD, what is AMD even down? Oh, Rigetti. That was a good one.
I guess I didn't get that mute.
Yeah, AMD's up. So yeah, we should be short. We should be shorting something that's down if we're looking for something red. So we'll get out of this almost immediately here on the breakthrough. And we do have some bids even lower. Like, I actually just got filled in the 30s here, just like absorbing some of this as a hit. So we just got a bid there at 30 and then a bid again at 26. So we did get some out there, but now it looks like we're trying to run that top. So 125.50, and we stopped the pain here on the short of AMD, which has not been painful at all. It has been a fantastic short. But it looks like for right now, we don't need to be short as we're above VWAP on the market. So
ARM's about to go green.
That's what I'm saying. AMD is green.
This thing was bleeding.
AMD is green right now, and
NVIDIA is way down, actually.
Yeah, see, so it should be short other names, not advanced micro devices.
NVIDIA is underneath resistance. I think, look, should keep an eye on this one. Like, to be 2.5 down when all these other chip names have gotten back into the green, like, this is still underneath 137 and looking a little bit weak there. I know we're ready to talk about the names that you guys have voted for, but we got to shout out Long This. Thank you for the super chat. Just sending a few USD to our friends in the 51st state.
There it is, for one super chat to rule them all. Right there. So thank you. Much appreciated.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
For that one. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much. That $100, I'm going to have to hit a like on that one. Thank you so much for that. There goes AMD breaking back through. So maybe the chip space now, forget about it. You know, one name that was weak that did have a pretty good move down today was going to be Tesla, and still down that 4%. Like so many better names. I don't know why we went back to AMD right there. It's because it was coming up to VWAP and it was hovering around and then eventually broke it. So we know the reasons why. I don't feel bad about doing it. AMD might eventually fall down. It's right back to that price now. All right, so 436, 435. Like this looks pretty good right here. As tops, would rather be a little closer to VWAP if you want to give this about $1.50 worth of room. What about a 435 short? Maybe there for Tesla. That would be something red. And then Apple, I said also. Yeah, see, like this is right at view. I mean, I just don't know I don't know if I want to go short here into the days.
The ES is at resistance too. Like it's not like it's
Nasdaq
we're
is
alone
above
here.
VWAP and this and that.
ES is at VWAP. I'm chuckling in the chat. I was chuckling because someone in the chat was like, that super chat's like 10 grand Canadian.
Yeah, I think it's like 9,800.
I mean, not quite, but you know, it is worth more than 100 by a long shot. So that much is true.
Yeah, it's worth about 143, almost to be exact.
Well, you know what's crazy is that remember when you started trading like a long time ago, like that was one of the cool things. You get those US dollars.
Yeah, it's still cool.
Like it varies. No, it varies. It's just like it's come all the way back because I'm pretty sure this is exactly where we were when we started.
Yeah, and that's why I like to trade it. You know, like that's why when we say, if you make or lose, it sucks when you lose money because then it's more. But then when you make money, it's like you're making a little bit more than before. Okay, we're all ready to go now at the big screen. So let's go with our recap. Right.
Welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every afternoon. The big kahunas. Neil and Sean locked and loaded, ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. So join Joe and I during the How to Trade midday show and get into that chat and vote for your favorite tickers every day. But it's a subs-only chat, so you're going to have to like and subscribe. Here's a look at the triple Qs. All the moving averages right now the major indexes are down on the day. You have the ES down 1 1/3, outperforming, though, the NQ, which is down 1 1/2. The best of the bunch, though, the Dow about 1%, and the worst of the bunch, the Russell 2000 down 1.9%, looking to break that into 2% land. Tesla not spared here from the selling, down 4.5%. Not really able to catch a bounce up. No specific headline today on Tesla, guys. Just selling off with the overall market weakness.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's not, excuse me, there weren't headlines on more or less much of anything, but I think the story for Tesla might just be a little bit of a continuation play. Like, we've seen this happen on Tesla right in and around this 465 level, where when it loses it, it's now done it a couple times. That's either big or just start of a trend, and all roads lead to 420, or at least 4 with a 2 next to it when Tesla bounces. It doesn't seem to have any pep in its step in the 30s when it loses the bid around here. So once again, you were at a fall into. I thought it was going to be 420. I said, let's preach patience. The market was so weak, should be waiting for the 420 level to go long. In this case, it actually bounced off 26. But what I don't like about Tesla here is it's been a really good bounce by the market. Tesla can't get past this 435 in VWAP. You know, when you zoom it out, like this was a level of interest before where there was a lot of consolidation. The only thing that gives me pause for the short is what happens if that afternoon buying that we sometimes see program buying on Tesla, if that starts to come in. We see that usually after 3 o'clock. I think looking for a 435 or VWAP short, I'd stop wanting that aggressively. If it starts trading up into VWAP close to 3 o'clock, I think I'd rather look for that afternoon buyer phenomenon that we've seen and maybe lean into that. Oh, here's Adam DeLuz. Just think what happens when it's pounds that you guys give us 184, 181 as of today. Well, the Canadian dollar is not doing too well. I mean, it could be worse. You could look at our GDP relative to all of you guys, and that'd be even worse than that. So, you know, it is what it is. We're going to win the World Juniors. So
this is why I'm not going anywhere. You know, I just stay here. I spend my money here. You know, just gave Halim a nice little Christmas present. You know, it is what it is. You know,
How come you're not showing off the cut?
I just wanted. It's the same. I mean, it's the same cut as.
Oh, okay. Keep it.
I don't have much hair up there. It's not like low taper fade like my son was trying to get.
Here's a question: does he Like, does he use a straight razor to edge, like, you know, like the beard, or is he?
Oh,
is he
he
old
does
school?
have that. Yeah, so he to the back of the neck. Yeah,
he
he's
does.
the razor's edge, Razor Ramon. You know, like Razor.
That was
Ramon. I'm
that
trying to
dude.
short some Apple right
That
here,
was
but I
that
don't
dude.
know.
He was that guy.
Yeah, I like Razor Ramon there. Like how he had the toothpick, you know. Say hello to the bad guy. Okay, so that's Apple. But yeah, I just think Tesla, we talked about it. It was like a double. Like how much was this up? More than double, actually. That was $200 October. Let's just call it Halloween. $222 up to $480. You know, so I just think that there's going to be some air coming out of this at some point. We talked about some of the Chinese EVs. There's always going to be pressure from that kind of side coming through. Whoa, I don't want to draw too many lines here. You know, from that side coming through. But today it just really started off pretty bad for it right off the jump. So there wasn't many trades that would have looked better on the short side than Tesla. Why and how? That's the question, right? I mean, I would just say that yesterday into the close and after hours, we hadn't seen Tesla make dramatic moves there into the close very often. We actually talked about it getting bumped up a lot. There's, you know, bumped up into the close. There's the closing, you know, and then here's the next day into the close. It's been really bumped up. That's the whole day there. And again, into the close. Oh, that was the rebalance day, so whatever. Anyways, long story short, it had its downside move. And then coming into today, if you just kind of thought about where we were yesterday into the close, then this move into the open, I think that, you know, breaking this pre-market bottom of 448. I mean, it's easy now to say that, but we were talking about this up at 450. I was like, wow, 450, like, wow, Tesla really starting to go to the downside. And then it just went $25 all the way down. And then look, it's the VWAP bounce back play. So right there on VWAP, you had that trace all the way back. So that could have been shorted. And then if you did short 438, it only goes as high as 439.50. Knowing me, I would have used 440 or this little bump as an out. So I think that was another missed opportunity. So I would say pullbacks into VWAP is what you're looking at. We didn't get short. That's too bad, man. We were offering 40s up here on Apple. Maybe we'll get it. Oh, no, we're offering 45s. That's why. Get a little more short here on Apple. But that's the only play that I have right now, AAPL. All right, let's go over a big trade today, no doubt, is Rigetti. And we'll talk about what we did on that after Sharif.
Every day, Sean, these quantum names continue to run. Rigetti, not spared over here, up 8.25. Again, there's really no specific catalyst for these quantum names, whether it's QUBT, QSI, QBTS. They're all aggressive. They've all been strong. Trade them carefully, and some of them have a bit of a higher short flow, guys.
I think they all have pretty
Yeah,
solid short flows.
what was their short?
Rigetti's is 17.
Right. Some of them are, I know it's like a lower 8 or 9.
D-Wave is 18.
18,
And then
yeah,
QUBTS, that's another QUB.
QBT.
QBTS is D-Wave. And then there's QUBT. There's way too many of these things. QUBT 17. They're all like 17, 18, 19% short flows, which obviously just all got accumulated. And my guess is going to be, all those are going to be higher when when you look at these numbers again in like a month or two. You know what? I'll let you talk about Rigetti because it's actually which one? It's QBTS. That's the one I was trading. I know you were trading Rigetti this morning, the long side, which was, it was piling it on like the closer for the Yankees. He used to have that saves record way back in the day. He actually wasn't even that hard of a thrower. Dave Rigetti.
Yeah, probably never succeed in today's game, I would imagine. But okay. All right. So there it is right here. We did have it on our sticky note there today to go long at 16. So this is a note that we write down at about 8:30. We traded Rigetti yesterday long 11:30 and got it out near the end of the day at like $16. So we were like, if it comes back to 16, that's something we like. And oh, before we go on to that, I want to say thank you so much for the super chat by Los Exotic. That's what I was going to say. Like, we got to go to some Los Exotic places, you know, but then I got to spend the depressed Canadian dollar. But thank you so much for that one. This will help, $5. Great trade on AMD this morning. Sean caught the top and the bottom. And then something about a farm animal. So thank you so much, Los Exotic there as well for that note. But I'm actually pretty impressed with Rigetti, to be honest with you, because it's a name that, again, we trade, but sometimes can be pretty hard to pick tops and bottoms with these. I'll explain to you where we did that with Rigetti. 16, Neil said 16% that. Benzinga has 14%, so you split the difference on the short float. But there it is, Rigetti. So there's that bottom. It does come right in. Why did we pick 16? We sort of talked about the fact that yesterday's close was that $16 level. It did wick up to $15.95 or so. So I sort of thought if we did drip down, and we were bidding 1760s, in the pre-market. It was trading in and around there. I thought it was a little bit high. Again, no real news on quantum other than the space itself. So I said, let's bid something around 16. It came in. We got lucky enough to get 16.15. Sometimes we get missed by 5 pennies. Sometimes we get hit almost right on the head. So we get that, and then as if some magic beans were planted at that time and we just sprinkled a little bit of water, that it was just like bang to the upside and just kept on going. There's a 19 fill right there on Rigetti today. So nice moves all the way up. Started to clear it out. And again, like you'll see when we talk about AMD at the end there with the best trade for me today, we let it go. You see how we let this thing go from 17 all the way up to 18.20? So it's like, let it go, let it breathe, let it break some of those tops. We get some out there at the pre-market high. That's already for $1.30. So it's like, okay, we're already feeling pretty good about ourselves, and then let it go and see if we can get that top. These are going to be tops that, again, hopefully will be seen, but did come back in pretty violently. We're still getting out above view up. Then we let it all of a sudden drip down. And then that's where we actually got out of almost all of it up here. That was the reload up to the upside. Then when it failed, we got out that last piece. And then this is where we were like, hey, where's the bottom? And unfortunately, the back and forth there, we were unable to. I mean, the show was almost over, and we were like, oh, do we take it? You guys heard me talking about that, and it was like we should have taken that break. So consolidation break higher, and consolidation at the top here as well, 17.18. So, yeah, I like the stock. Might be done for today, but that's Rigetti. I mean, I don't want to forget about it. I think if you get back into the 15.50 area, it's probably worth a shot.
Yeah, some of the other ones have fared not as well. Like the
Come on, Apple.
you saw that QSI tried to go, but QBTS just went 5% down and is going to lose the bid. So I think this is actually I'm looking to get short in this one. We talked about the difference between Rigetti and QBTS and QSI and IonQ and the host of names in this space, and some of them were able to hold on to the highs. This broke out and then immediately failed to break, and it's been a short around 10 ever since. Now I'm looking to short that 950 level, so just be careful. They're all different. Before we go up and talk about some Palantir, Tesla did just tick underneath that 432 support. So a new possible downtrend could be coming in here on Tesla. Maybe we're not going to get VWAP at 435. Let's see how it acts at this level. Maybe it'll consolidate, give some kind of an entry. But if we continue to trend down off 432, we'll have to look at something other than VWAP here and the 435 on Tesla. Let's talk some PLTR.
Sometimes it is about the stocks that you trade, but you can also trade these stocks with Trade the Pools. Start Christmas early with Trade the Pools Ultimate, or start Christmas maybe late, I guess, with Trade the Pools Ultimate Gift for Traders. Buy one, get one free. Wow, okay, a little bit of BOGO action here. Buy an 80K, a 160K, or a 260K buying power valuation and get a free 20K evaluation, plus enjoy 7 extra days on both plans. Don't forget that once you meet the profit target, you'll become a funded trader and start trading with Trade the Pools Capital. You trade real shares, not CFDs, and access over 12,000 symbols. You can short penny stocks with no extra brokerage fees. Scan the QR code to start now. Don't wait. This offer ends in just a few days, January the 1st. This could possibly be your best trading move ever. Could you believe that? You could have your best trading move ever just by scanning that QR code. Thank you to Trade the Pool. And without any further ado, thing that everybody's been waiting for, some talk on Palantir.
Hey, yeah, buddy. Good look today. Well, not today, obviously, for Palantir, down about 3 4/5 right now, but it did defend that the earlier week low, so we don't break through that low. Separately, Danny Ives yesterday and Wed Bush calling Palantir the next Oracle, Sean, and he said Palantir is a table pounder. Sean, were you pounding the table?
I have no trades on Palantir, but apparently the weed.
Who hit the weed bet?
I don't know. Someone, maybe Ram did. Maybe accident there. Maybe Alex Karp is high in the sky with the stock these days. But yeah, no, I mean, we talked about it today with Tesla coming back in a little bit on relatively nothing. Palantir, the same kind of thing. It's just some of the moves are so good. So when the air comes out a little bit of the main index and we're not getting any support from Apple and things like that, as we talk about some of the stocks that we're involved with, Palantir is going to lose its spot, right? I mean, and again, I don't know. Like people, if you get out of this stock, then you got to realize some wins. So there's some capital gains maybe being taken here. I don't really know why that would be happening, but at the end of the day, if the market's going to puff out a little bit, I do expect some of these names that have been juiced up to come back in. So Palantir is one of those names, and it looks like it's doing that right now. So just coming back in, I would say it's just on like a little bit of a hiatus. We've seen these kind of moves before. I don't want it to break back below this 78 mark. That's for sure. Do I agree that's the next Oracle? I mean, I don't know why we're aiming so low, but I mean, I really like Palantir. No, I mean, if this got to be Oracle, that'd be fantastic.
I think Four Horsemen. Oracle
That'd be fantastic.
Like not now, maybe like old Oracle, maybe.
No, even new Oracle is great. I mean, I'm the valuation. Palantir still has a lot of room to grow. I mean, the thing is that now the space finally, after years and years and years, this is a 25 to 30-year-old company, right here, Palantir, finally now getting into that public eye, obviously with the recent exposure there to all the military contracts and whatnot. I mean, I really think Palantir here, immigration, obviously with the new president coming through, there's already been talks. He already likes Alex Karp. He's been on record saying that and all about Palantir. So, you know, Elon Musk, these guys are all intertwined. I like Palantir. I like it for the new year. And I do think it's a play for 2025 as well. Not only is it up almost 400% this year, but I do think it plays into next year. So Palantir is still working. I got to manage this Apple trade.
Yeah, so look, Palantir, it was a missed breakdown at 81. They had an over-under at 81. Like if it had held 81, I was probably looking to break out that long at 80. You never really know. But we didn't get the short at 81. You just had to take the next available trade because it gave you the 80 break on Palantir. And I just think, like Sean's mentioned, sometimes you get a reasonable pullback at an all-time high. When it already failed that all-time high, 83 to 85 a couple of times, you get a fail break at the top. This was the 81 break. It was instantaneously at like 80, it was in the mid-80s. It came back in, tested VWAP a couple of times, went 2 for 3 shorting it, and they actually think it could lose VWAP as we speak. But I think it's it's healthy to get pullbacks like this. I mean, this will actually show you since the actual move to the NASDAQ. It can pull back. Next support would be down around on the daily. You could have like 70, 80. You got $60 for the 50-period moving average as well. So like there's a heck of a lot of places that this could go to maintain a broader trend. And the 50-period hasn't been actually touched since, what is that? That's August. Well, at the August lows, and that's the 200-period as well for Palantir. So it wouldn't be ridiculous for this to have a healthy pullback into the 50-period at some point, and then that could be your next go zone.
Broadcom down like with the overall market about 1 4/5 right now. No specific headline from today. There was this one from Christmas Eve that I didn't know about, so I want to share it with you guys. Look, looks like there is a patent dispute happening right now between Broadcom and Netflix, specifically a Broadcom subsidiary, VMware. Netflix accusing VMware of violating 5 patent rights in virtual machines that run another's computer operating software on a host computer, according to a Reuters report, guys, that got released on Christmas Eve. Just wanted to share that with you.
Now, just quick little sirens up here because we just talked about having to manage this Apple trade, and oh boy, did it. Oh, by the way, Obi's in the building. Look at this, boom to the downside, nice move as we come back in, and this is an oh boy trade. So we will go flushy to the downside right now on the market, and you know what? Like we did have our experiences there with our friend AMD to the upside, and we got stopped out right there, but we went over to a negative name on the day there with Apple, and yeah, real happy right now, to say the least, here on Apple, as it goes right up into right into the top, one of the top P&L names for me here. We just got filled at 10s, it looks like there. We'll put some more on the bid just to make sure. Again, we have shares, so we'll get to there. I just punched them out at 18. We'll work on this on the way down. All right, Broadcom. I chose Micron. We could talk about that, but you guys chose Broadcom, so let's have a quick look. Come on, Apple, man. Let's get a little lower here, as maybe we do have a little bit of a sell-off, and then, you know, I know Apple's been strong, but okay, Broadcom again. I said that maybe there was no better short than Tesla. I mean, this one got going real early, real quick, down $10 as well. You know, down $10 on 250 is the same as down 20 on 500, and that's almost, you know, a very similar relationship there to Tesla. So a nice move to the downside. For me, you know, it's a kind of a good question. Like, what would we rather be invested in right now? Like, if you could put $100 to work, Neil, so just for play money, Broadcom or Tesla at these current levels?
At these levels?
It's kind of an interesting question.
I gotta say Broadcom.
Yeah.
I gotta say Broadcom. Like Tesla's had such a crazy. I love. Actually,
No,
you know
I
what?
mean, the story is good on both of them.
How much is it because I don't actually own Broadcom? And I
No,
do-
not consistent on your portfolio.
I think at these levels, at the end of the year, with what I think is
Apple's huge.
what I think is a pullback coming back in the market, at least some kind of a reasonable one. I just think AVGO gives you a better PE there. It's like just a better spot to buy it now. Whereas if we do have a 10% correction in the market, I feel a little bit better about Broadcom than I would about Tesla in that environment, because Tesla can pull back to like 330 or something. Whereas
That's a good point. Yeah.
You know,
well,
like
Broadcom.
it could. Don't get me wrong. The 50 periods at like.
I wonder how
It's 25. The 50 period's 25% away on Broadcom. It's not like it hasn't been doing power moves either. But look at the response that Broadcom has had to the recent dip. It just got bought right back up. So I'd pick Broadcom for today. I don't like what I see at all with it today. Like this looks like it could roll over as we speak here. But I'd take Broadcom over Tesla. I think just. Valuation thing.
Yeah, no, I think, and so again, I was talking about, because I think diversifying your portfolio in the chip space, I don't have any Broadcom either. I'd be looking to pick up some in this space. So, I mean, I think we both do like the stock. But real quick, man, this is like, anybody that was short there, that we were just talking about that short, this is actually pay dirt right now. And it was just, honestly, it's going to be a good stock, but it could have easily been in trouble again there. It was just about finding a short name at VWAP and just give it a little bit more room. And that's what we wound up doing. And then now it comes back in. I think the lesson that I'm learning, and again, we talk about trying to learn lessons literally every day, no matter how long we've been doing something, you can always get better at it. And the thing is like, just play the trend almost no matter what. And I just think that even though VWAP's not going to be an exact science at any point, you come up into a level that has sort of been retested and then failed upon again. So you have to have stops so that you can stop the bleeding when you're wrong. There's no doubt about that. But when you're right, sometimes you can get, like, this was nowhere near 50s. I could tell you my stop right now, 255.61 is my stop. It's in right now. That's 15 cents worth of a stop now to grab this. And we still have about half left on this trade right now. So far, so good. It's been working out. But okay, let's go back over to a trade that I think we could probably talk a little bit more about, as AMD was definitely on my mind.
Bucking the trend, certainly AMD trying to stay positive, well off the low. Great V-shaped recovery there, up 0.17. Again, this headline not from today, but it looks like Rosenblatt adding AMD guys and Micron to their top picks for 2025. So one to keep your eye on.
When was that headline?
Monday.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
I was gonna say, like, there weren't a lot of headlines and catalysts. So on Monday, their top picks for. Oh, give me a break. Now the drop down. The first thing that came up is AMD AX. That's always fun. Which is some kind of an Australian stock. No, there isn't.
They probably have like a Blue Ocean.
There's an actual stock on
Moon,
but that's not AMD.
Oh, okay.
That is AX. We have every single market out there available here at Real Trading. So sometimes it'll happen. So quickly, I'll show you. I had one trade on AMD. It never got into prior resistance, or at least close enough, 126.5, which was, that's the level that I really liked. And if we get there today, it'll be very bullish. So I shorted off the prior close. One scalp trade when it back under 125, it took it out. That carried $1. So I was waiting for the move in here to 126.5. Oh, I just got into that QBTS. It was here. So that's AMD. And if we do get to 126.5, this would have gone breaking out the morning highs. I don't know that I would like the short if it did that. There was just a big move down in the market, but also like Rigetti just dropped continuously from 18 to 16 and did its first bounce. So it's still up 7%, but underneath VWAP. So when that happened, I went over to what was the weaker one, D-Wave, and shorted the pop into D-Wave. And I want to try to short this back into the prior high. But when I saw Rigetti make that move, I was like, oh, let's go over to QBTS, which has been weaker pretty much the rest of the day. So I'll have eyes on both of these. But yeah, a lot of things pulled back in there. Rigetti being one of them, dropped a $2 move pretty quickly in there for that name. So these quantum names could be in a bit of trouble this afternoon.
Yeah, I was going to say, heading into a Friday, obviously, with the market being closed over the weekend, not that I'm expecting any quantum news to be hitting anywhere or anything.
Profit takers.
Yeah, exactly. Heading into the weekend there. With more traders probably, well, what date is Monday exactly? What day is New Year's? New Year's is Tuesday. So yeah, you're probably not going to be getting too many people coming back through on back into trade on Monday either. So you probably get another little bit of a chance to get some of these Rigettis on the move here today as well. Look, AMD, and I know we were talking about the rundown there just real quickly. AMD, we had just pretty good conviction up there at 126 today. It was a good trade for us. It was into yesterday's sort of range trade there in and around that 126. So we hit that, we got the top, and then we nailed the bottom. This was an absolute monster of a trade and just continued to go. We had just lost on it though. So we had shorted, we had shorted here. This was just during lunch. We had shorted again at 124 out, 124.25. So that's a quarter there, probably 30 cents in total. This was a flat trade. We were able to get short, get out, then get out of our last piece for roughly flat. And this one we lost on because again, we didn't get enough out before it eventually broke, came back in. But the thing about AMD is I think we have to remember this. It's up today. So not, like we hit that short, that was fantastic, but at the end of the day, it's up, and the trend seems to be long right now for AMD. So I'm going to switch off of that, look at the 50-period moving average. And we went over there, and we picked up some Apple. So we just got some short here, and we flipped over our logic, right? And that was that, hey, wait a second, it kind of was like cold water, just right in the face, like, what are we even doing here? We should be not shorting names that are up. That's not our playbook. And our playbook is to go over, find a name that's down, either the same, relatively weak with the market, or even more than the market. And that was Apple. And then Apple all of a sudden was at VWAP. So that's how it came on. It came on in VWAP scanner. I was looking for that, right? And that's what hit. AMD, of course, being strong. Look at it. Ignore VWAP right there. We should not have shorted these random tops. We are already above all of these lines. So it was already telling us it was strong. Apple, just to show you guys how it looks a little bit differently, looks differently at these lines, giving us some kind of a base. But you know what? I'm going to take a little bit more out there. We just punched them out at 10s as it is getting a little stronger here. And the futures, you can't trade Apple without looking at the futures. That would be ridiculous. So there's the futures holding VWAP basically and now heading back up to the upside. So we could have, this is almost identical chart to Apple right now. So let's just get out. We're 35 cents in the money on Apple, and we've got shares. So it's going to be a good little movement there. Thank you, Long, this, as this $100 super chat there means a lot to the show. And I just want to, we've already hit the like. Guys, hit the like on this, too, if you can. Only 26 likes. Like, if you're American, don't you want Canada as being part of this thing? So, hit the likes. Again, then we got some natural resources.
We got plenty of natural resources.
Might be some good points there to come through.
We got oil. We got comedians.
Yep. Yep. The United States doesn't have any comedians, that's for sure, yeah.
Hey, man, per capita, Canada's got some absolute gems when it comes to comedy. Yeah. I think we definitely hold our own there. And, of course, we can teach you a thing or two about hockey. That's a must. Although everyone that looks at the standings, the early standings of the World Juniors, yeah, it's about who you play early. Sometimes you get a bunch of lopsided games for all the Americans that are getting ahead of themselves, thinking they're going to beat us because they put up.
What did they do?
They scored like 10 goals.
They did? Oh my God.
Yeah, they had a big first game. We won like 4-0 our opener, but we'll see. I know a lot of people have been asking about Tesla. Tesla, it's making a bit of a bounce. Until 3 o'clock, I still want to look for the short before anything else. And the reason I say 3 o'clock, just a reminder to anybody that has not been trading Tesla recently, for the last, call it 3 weeks, there have been a lot of like late day. There's one, there's another, then here. I'm just talking like in the last 30 minutes or so where you get these crazy parabolic bids and it just goes green, green, green. On like a 3-minute chart, there won't even be any red candles on it. If Tesla does something like that off of this base, I don't think you want to be shorting into it. So until that happens, it's not for sure. If that happens, I wouldn't want to stand in front. It's only 230, so there's plenty of time. The prior support was here at 432. So that's the first look. If it makes another pop, look for the 432, curl. Right now, it's still in a bit of an upward trend. So as far as I'm concerned, we'll just be patient with it. NVIDIA wants to break out. It's down 2.5%. And I have the eyeballs on this because it's still down on the day. There's 137 once, twice, 3 times in here. Seems like a good spot for a curl on this chip name that's relatively weak. But then you see Tesla way under VWAP, and that looks even better. The name that looks strong on the Mag 7 or one of them, Google, I like this rounded bottom on Alphabet. It gets holding on to VWAP. When you pull up this 15-minute, like look where the support bounced. I wish I had looked at Alphabet this morning because, and I didn't, it is what it is. But if you look at where this bounced a few days ago, the fact that it double bottomed right at the more obvious support level and you've almost come all the way. Now you're holding the morning range support at 192. I like this for a VWAP dip on Google. I know it's down 1.5%, but I like where this has come from. We just got to long this again.
Yeah.
Again, another super chat. Sadly, the 51st Trader TV can't exist in Canada, so maybe relocate to Greenland. Yeah, well, thank you for the super chat there, long this. Always good fun around here. I like the jokes. Greenland. Oh, that's the name of a really,
he's trying to buy that. I thought he was trying to buy Greenland as well there, President Trump, or former president.
Yeah.
He's trying to
he made some comments
to
about that
expand the great states there, the United States, which could include some new countries apparently in it very, very soon. All right.
Be good for the
Didn't he call our prime minister like Lieutenant Trudeau or something like that?
It was governor.
Governor, yeah.
Well, in order to be governor, though, you'd have to be in power. So
this is going to be hilarious. Okay, well they're on break right now, of course. I was thinking about
for now.
Again, maybe shorting some Intel up here, but it's kind of away from everything again. I was looking at a 5-minute chart. You see, like, you're at this 200 period moving average. Thing is, we've already been up here before. I kind of feel like we might be shorting again, like an AMD situation where we can find something a little bit weaker than Intel. Like, we're already short Apple, which is
MSTR is bleeding.
MSTR is bleeding. What is Bitcoin doing? MSTR is going to the downside. All right. I mean, we can look at IBIT. I mean, we talked about not going long on Bitcoin until we actually got into a level that we somewhat believed in. And right now for Bitcoin, it's that 15-minute chart that we've been following here on the 200 period moving average. And so we are still like ways away from that right now, 96.5 before we even think about either shorting it or breaking through the long. I'd rather now. We're well away from that 97.4. I still like the break of that level, but then you're going to be about $1,000 away almost from the current. So this is how you kind of would play these things. If you're going to play the break long here on the 200 period moving average, then your out should be the 50 period. So that's like a grand right there. So that's always going to be the play. Right. And so I would try to wait for that. We've talked about following this, how well it's been, the break down, then the break up right there didn't really last that long. And then there's the break, the fake break back in. So remember what I said, if you're going to play the break, then your out is going to be, where that fills. So that's about a flat trade on that little baby move there. And then if you go short again, you're probably not out. I mean, you get out into there if you want to, but that's again a flat trade. And then it just takes you all the way to the bottom without breaking the 200 period. And then there's the clean break again at 94.4, and you probably don't get out till 98. So at the end of the day, it's been working doing that. Does it mean it will work again? I don't know. But if you're going to, trade for a reason, you might as well have a strategy, and that would be something there that I think I could stamp for an approval there on Bitcoin. So looking at that now, IBIT just on the day, doing nothing for the last hour. I guess if you got the short, but the short worked for basically the whole market early on. If you just push short on something, it looks like it would have worked. Yeah, it's too much in the middle for me.
Well,
right now, Bitcoin.
I'd rather wild is that it's 94. At the middle.
Right.
But
maybe 94
micro
flat.
strategy is... Oh, this is bad. This is really bad. Like down 5%.
What's going on with MicroStrategy then?
No, like this is, what it could be? Sell the news after the addition to the NASDAQ. If I had to guess, it's just you didn't get the bump you were looking for, and now that it's in the NASDAQ 100, okay, it's not as big of a deal as everyone expected it to be, and suddenly it's just fallen like a rock. I understand you're consolidating underneath 100K, but on Bitcoin, but for it to be at VWAP and you're still bleeding, that doesn't look very good. It's trading like a miner right now, which, like Mars down. That's what it is. I mean, Mars down 4.5%. What's Coinbase doing here? Coinbase is not having a good day either. No, you know what? It's all the adjacent things that are on the lows. Although the argument is that MSTR is much weaker. Coinbase, this has a flat bottom break on it too. This doesn't look very healthy either here in Coinbase. look, if we head back down to 92,000, I think you've got a few names that are going to be worth it. Like Coinbase here, 63 break. That could happen today. Maybe it happens on Monday as well. I think that's got to be a look. Yeah, I don't like at all what I'm seeing with MSTR. Every time I look at this, I know my physio guy, he absolutely loves this stock.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, and we were sort of, well, all I was talking to him about was like the historic, just have a look at what happens when some major names when they go into a major index. And a lot of times there's like a sell the news event. And this just did not get the bump that everyone's looking for. If this loses the 50-period moving average on the daily here, it doesn't look good at all for MicroStrategy. What we got? Okay. Thank you, Nimrod, for the super chat here. Dedicating the personal Jesus song for the B-Day boy.
Personal G.
Surprising you share the same date. Not quite. I was born on Boxing Day, was not born on the 25th, but appreciate you. If you guys can explain about imbalances after close, it'd be great. Also, any insights on the general direction of the market in
closing
January?
imbalances, I'm sure you mean.
Yeah, you mean the closing imbalances. Yeah, sure. It doesn't. Yeah, I'll explain that. And then direction of the general market entering January. Okay, so a lot of times what you'll have, the general direction of the market in January, I would not be surprised if we get a decent sized retracement, sort of after we get the usual Santa Claus rally. I think a lot of time people back off and taking a lot of profits, and they'll start selling some things that they think are a little bit too high in January that haven't already pulled back. I think that's reasonable. I think that provides a lot of buying opportunities in the first month or two of the year. But just what the imbalances are, just very quickly for everybody. Every single market, well, almost every single market has an open and a close, which is decided by an auction, right? So just like when a stock halts or an IPO opens or a stock opens up at 9:30 in the morning, they have an opening auction where almost everybody or anybody with direct market access can put orders into that auction. You can put market orders into the auction, market buys, market sells, limit buys, limit sells. So because they want an orderly auction, what they do is they take all, and this happens in the open, it happens at the close, they take all of the orders that have gone into that auction, and before the open at 9:30 or before the close at 4 o'clock, they publish data before. And the reason they publish this data, which gives you an indicative open price, and it gives you a buy imbalance or a sell imbalance, which we'll get to in a second, is so that they can have people take the other side if it's too big one way or the other. So when they take all those buys and sells, all the buys, meaning all the market on buys, and all the limit on open buys, and market on open sells, and all that kind of stuff, and if they say if it were to print right now, let's say at 9:26 or at 3:45 in this particular case, there'd be still unaccounted for 1.6 million shares of buys on AROC. That's an early look on the imbalance. If they had to print it right now based on the market orders, there'd be 1.6 million to the buy side. Now, the idea for that is that people can look at that and say, hey, if I want to sell shares in this stock, I can try to do it into the auction without moving the price around. So they do that at 350, and that's what we talk about in the afternoon. They do that at 9:25 in the NASDAQ in the morning, and then people take the other side of it, and you'll see it update in real time. Just because something has a buy imbalance does not mean it's going to print up or move up. Just because it has a sell imbalance doesn't mean it's going to go in the other direction. So always keep that in mind. They do it so there won't be excess volatility. And then we'll show you guys what these do at like 3:30. As you can see, there's nothing here except for whatever this AROC is. I have no idea what that stock is.
All right, good. Thank you. Yeah, good explanation. And thank you, Nimrod, for that. Another super chat just came in. Long Dis has all these ideas. I mean, I think maybe this guy or girl should run for some sort of a governor, maybe a role there. What if we gave each province a state? What if we give each province a state? So 10. We do it just to see if California got mad. So what if we give each province a state? We do it just to see California get mad. The state of California would not like that. That must be an inside joke there about California.
I don't know if I get that.
The expansion of the states, maybe.
Maybe?
Governor Newsom there, I guess. Gavin. All right, so Apple, we just took some out. Let us know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think either one of us gets that one, but hey, that's pretty good. Thank you, Long.
Thanks for the super chat.
Yeah, that's like $150 or something like that in total. So we're going to say thank you so much for that. Heading into the new year. Okay, so Apple just pulled back into $24 there. We got, or sorry, 24 cents, 255.25. So we did take that bid there, and now just getting lighter on it as we come back up. We already talked about only having about a third of it left all the way down here. So now we're just slightly pairing it off. Obviously, you know, we always like to make more money, you know, rather be going down than up. But the market trend right now is pretty upside here as we continue to get you know, momentum higher. So right into there. 21,700 coming in. So this would be, you know, if you're going to go short here, I don't think I'd hold it past some of these breaking spots, because if you can get back up into here, that's kind of where we started with the day. So you're still down 1.5%. It's still not good. But that doesn't mean, you know, the market started cascading, and it was already in the pre-market giving us this number. So I worry sort of to get back into this area, and if we can hold this short, that would be really, really good, 21,800. But we still got to get up to there. So that's still another 100 handles higher. I'm not going to be averaging into this Apple trade. We've sort of done enough right now. We'll wait for a lower move here on Apple.
There's something that's, I messaged Sharif about this. For stocks that are at massive levels, check out Adobe on a weekly chart. So this is one, Adobe's at the Alamo right now, and this could be a huge opportunity. I got to double check what their PE is. But if going into the new year, if you're looking for stocks that could make a nice little bounce, look, it's lost a 200 period on the weekly. That's not very good, but it's now double bottomed at $435. This one's on my watch list. Well, watch list for things that I would look to like swing. Because if you hold this level here and then break out this level here, I'd be looking for a long. I mean, it has to do it first. Like, heck, it could lose this bid, and then maybe you're just looking at long-term gifts with a 3 handle on it, which I think would be a gift on Adobe. But yeah, if it can bounce off this double bottom, give you a close above the week, like you look for something like this happen, like, just like what happened before at this level. Why am I even trying to draw it over here? It would just be close one green, it's just off the same price level, break it out, and then trend back into like $550. So I got Adobe on a radar for a potential. It would probably be something for the new, because this is a weekly chart. If you're looking at a weekly chart, well, heck, it has to close one of these candles green, which I'm going to go out on a limb and saying you're not going to get a big, strong closing green candle on the weekly for this week on Adobe. Something distinctly insane would have to happen. So this is probably like a New Year's kind of thing, but this is for sure on my radar. And you know what? I don't own the stock, but if it loses the bid, I mean, how could you not like this in the 300s? I'm going to double check the PE, which I'm like 99% sure that it's got a very good PE. Because I saw an article comparing, for some reason they had PEs in the space, and they were comparing Palantir and Adobe. Huh. I saw an article that was doing that. I'm like, why? Like, why were you doing that? These guys are 35, forward PE's 19. So if they can just, like, if they can meet their next quarter, then that would be under 20 times. And that's if the stock doesn't even drop from here. Like, if it drops, that's even better. Yeah, this one gets real interesting, I think, soon. By the way, this GTI, it's back above $1. The volume's not great. I'd like to see this pick back up. I know every single time it's held $1, I've gone into the long, but this looks a little bit different this time. Darwin saying the Adobe 4-hour chart looks pretty good too. Hey, when in doubt, zoom out. I'm with you there.
Yeah, good look on that one. And again, a nice little play. There's been some pretty beat up names in this space. You could definitely go grab some Adobe. Yeah, there's Palantir. That's why I sort of shrugged at it. Like 400 is the PE with a forward of 172. So, but that's not, I mean, for a stock like Palantir, any of these growth names, you don't really look at forward PEs, or else you would have missed Amazon and Meta and all these things on the way up. As you just, you got to sort of trade it for what it's worth, play momentum, I think, in a lot of those names. And today you are getting some momentum sucked out of you in Palantir as well. Let's look at Taiwan Semi. That was a name that we had on our watch list earlier on today. We talked about trying to fall out of, if this fell out, it would be a name that we'd want to buy because it was strong early. But again, look at this. Just hit the sell key early. Found some base. Not a whole heck of a lot happening, but you are, again, at this level, 202. So this is, again, if you like the short for Taiwan Semi, not bad. I'm almost there was, there's a couple of stocks that if you did like the short, I'm just not really super convinced that the short is really what I want to do right now. We're above VWAP, we're above the 50-period moving average, but I was looking at Starbucks right here as well. And if you sort of looked at this and thought about something like this, and you sort of drew it like that, you're kind of getting into a spot now where you have this high coming right back in right now, looking like it still wants to sort of get underneath. You're underneath VWAP right now. This could be, again, another short. These are all like coulda, woulda, shoulda plays. I'm already short Apple, just looking to see if anybody else is sort of in Starbucks. As channeling down, I think we could get a little bit of a movement up there. And if you get short here at this bar, 92.25, you're not too far away. And then you can use 92.40s, maybe as you're out. That's 15 cents worth of risk. I think you could definitely make that if the market it pulls back in. You're still down 1.5%. Just the momentum seems to be holding a little bit here, high side. And the other play was going to be AMD. So this is really the one. So Apple's now coming back in. So we're starting to make a little bit better on that one. But this is right back at this level. So like part of me is like itching to do this. But AMD sort of already showed its strength here. We've tried to short. We've given some back. And right now, not really worth it, in my opinion. But it's right here. And if you're following the sticky note, it does mention to get short into here. But again, these plays are like sort of what we're seeing early and the feeling that we get on the market early and what names, how they've been reacting in the pre-market, how they've been reacting early. Momentum always wins. And right now, that is long on this name. It was short here, obviously, and you saw the carry forward to the bottom, which turned out to be fantastic. But since then, we're just fighting this trend up. So I'm going to try to back away from that one and then go over to maybe another name here that's down that 4%. Like you see, this just looks much better for risk reward here to short Palantir as opposed to AMD, because now you're at VWAP, you have these highs. So this would be your out if you're wrong. 79.50. So again, market falls in, maybe Palantir can get back into 78.25, 78.40, giving you 30 cents worth of risk to the upside with about 80 cents downside. So lots of opportunity here on Palantir today. I like that short better than AMD. And people want to talk about Tesla, so we'll do that as well when we get back from Madeira.
Once again, we have more small cap names running. That's right. Even this afternoon, this one is INTZ. Neil brought this one to my attention. Intrusion. It is up about 385% right now. There's no catalyst in this that I could find. Nice attempt kind of at a rounding bottom, or at least a bit of a reversion. You're bouncing just above that $1 level. We do have a market cap here of about $19.25 million. We have a float of 6.16 million shares, roughly 2.75% of which are sold short, and it's about 160 million shares traded on the day. Then we also have this SFHG. This one just popping up now, a little bit less volume, about 4.8 million shares traded on the day, but SFHG, much like Intrusion, no catalyst. Its name is Sam Fine Creation Holdings. Got a 300,000 share float for this one with a market cap of $29.5 million. So very small float for SFHG and INTZ. Back to you.
Yeah, super small float, but hey, I mean, it's really going here. There's no question about it. Like the fact that, and you never sleep on these names when they start to pick up volume. I know it probably rinsed a lot of people that were looking at gappers, but I mean, it was downward trending going into the open, but look at the bottom. It's been higher lows since 10 o'clock. So really, if you kind of just ignore the rinsing of people out, which sometimes gives it a little bit of juice because it stops some people out, relieves a little bit of pressure, it's been going. And I think this double top here at 230 is worth watching. I tend to not like breakouts on plays like this. I think looking at this $2 level or looking at VWAP or looking at the halt price 215, those give you better areas to work off of for some potential longs in here. So I kind of lean into that a little bit better, looking for a consolidation. If it can close this candle above this halt price 215, hold this range, that would give you a long to 15 or a long to 07, depending on how you like to place your stops. That way, if it breaks the high, you're long going into it, as opposed to taking that break at the top and giving it the wide stop, which I'm not a huge fan of. I've also seen a lot of people mention Faraday, FFIE. I don't know why Faraday's having a strong day today, except for maybe, I didn't see a story on it. I could be wrong about that. It could just be the stock is double bottomed at $1 and it could be technical. Like it's It's breaking out here on the daily. This doesn't look that bad. I just love to see, I like to see the volume, and it's at that high. I just prefer if there was a catalyst on Faraday. It does look very good. I can't deny it. Prior highs in here that it can hold on to, certainly. And it's got a lot of volume, and the volume's actually holding up pretty well. So I can't hate on that whatsoever. But as Sean mentioned, one of the names that we like short is now coming into resistance, and that's Palantir. Let me just get rid of this. I do not trade Australia. VWAP, it's just a line on a chart. Resistance has been 79.5 on PLTR. So I'm kind of eyeballing this level as we have a slight trend into the upside going into it. So there's your trend line going into the top. All I want to see is press into this high and break that trend, then I look to be short. If it never breaks this gentle upward trend, then I wait for 80. It's that simple. Let it make a new trend, and then you wait for the $80 level. It's either going to be a short up here breaking the trend, or it's going to be short up at 80, which is where we were trading it a lot earlier. Bearded Warrior Trade says sound. You mean S-O-U-N, not sound. Yeah, well, sound hound, but S-O-U-N, that's also strong. But it's red on the day. Don't see, that's the thing. I'd rather, if I was looking at something to break out one of these parabolic runners, I'd be much more interested in one of the cheaper, smaller ones that I think has a better chance to give you that 10, 20% move than S-O-U-N. Somebody likes to sell this thing at 24 bucks today, which is the prior close. So yeah, it could go. The 24 quarter goes. I think it's got a decent chance, but I'd rather this INTZ set something up. Is this, well, now it's going to go into an uphold. The only issue with this is a $2 stock, 10%, not going to be that hard with the amount of volume that it has. It hits these halt bands pretty easily. But it did close that bar green. We'll look to get in the long in INTZ. The name of which I already can't remember the name of the company, but it doesn't matter.
Trying to break a little higher. We did talk about where our stop was going to be on Apple, and it's right here. So 255.60. We talked about getting stopped out there. It might come back, and we did not average back into this. It'll be good. This is the only trade we made on Apple, and it will be, well, I'll go down to the third on our P&L list there, but we were able to make a little bit of money on it anyways. So Apple right now, nice move in. Yeah, could have continued. Wish it would have, but now it looks like it wants to go higher. I'll be at the PWHL game tonight. I actually kind of forgot about that. Oh, man. That should be a lot of fun. So if anybody's going to the Coca-Cola Coliseum, probably nobody watching this might be. 9,000 fans. Not bad. You
never know. Why not?
I should have a good time there. If you're there, I will see you.
I'm just hoping the weather's nice tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be 7 or 8 degrees this weekend.
Well, we're driving up north tonight.
Oh, okay, nice. We're going to Canada's Wonderland, I think, on the weekend. There's that Winterfest stuff.
Dude, that's a lot of fun.
So, yeah,
we've done it like 5 times.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going. We did it last year as well. That should be fun. Going a little bit of rides there. It could be 8 degrees. I mean, why not? All right. So Apple, AMD, still trying to go. Micron, nice upside move there as well into the closed arm. I was just watching out. You guys know the stop. So Apple's right now back to flat. If you want to take this out and you're like, you know what, this market is just doing its own thing here, which I would tend to agree with. There's Apple right now. We're short at 255.45. So you get out for flat if you like it. We've already taken money. It's kind of house money here, but I want to play it for the short. I wouldn't be in it if I didn't like it, so we'll still hold on to that one. We said that we should have gone long AMD. We talked about that, and now look at AMD. There it goes. This is why we did not reload that short. We talked about why it was much different than before, and there it goes upside. Wow, AMD continues to work it out. Maybe NVDA is taking out some of those levels again. Still 137, so you're getting into that 137. That's the mark. I think if you take that, you can. This is a long. Right, I mean, we talked about looking at Tesla. We'll have to go over there because we know that's moving. But this is a long too, no? Like breaking this 137. Again, mark it down. But I'm feeling bullish, I thought, into the close as the market sort of showed us right now that it's fine hanging out around VWAP. So maybe a little bit of a dip and then a rip on some names. So that would be something to look at as we're just approaching power hour right now. So, wow, that AMD on the 5-minute chart is really starting to go here. Like, look what this looks like here. Just push straight up. Like, the fact to have this and this, that's what I mean. Like, it was lucky. I was saying AMD's so strong early, and then it just, someone hit the sell key. And we're happy to be part of that. But there it is right there. Just touched out to basically some of these highs from yesterday. So into yesterday's sort of midday highs of 126.50 again, just goes AMD. That might be the top. 126.50. It goes back a couple days right into there. So I could mess with that. What is that exactly? 126.60. Yeah, if we get close into like the 30s or 40s, I could short that. And so that's where my brain goes, is that my out's going to be 125.60. I can't go short now. 60 cents all the way up is going to be too much. So we're going to let it settle down. If it wants to continue to go up and someone hits buy keys up here, then we'll take that short. But until then, no on that one. Apple pulling back just a little bit now. I don't know. Where's the 50-period moving average? Last time we cashed out at the 50, a little bit. All right, how about a little bit more? That's just at 28, so we'll sit there at 30s. We'll get out of 5% of what we have left at 30. So hopefully that can come back in and give us a little bit of a fill. Some people are still talking about your MSTR there. Bitcoin,
it's been
not really booming. Someone in the chat is like, Bitcoin.
No, it's having a very, very bad day. Palantir is trying to revert that trend back in. It actually didn't get to 79.50. 79.47 is the local high in here. And now it's starting to revert at least a little bit. So we'll see. But I just got some at 29s. We'll see if we can add to it at the 39 level. But as you were mentioning, MSTR, that's quite the bid. It's hilarious that the weakest name in crypto land, the second we finish talking about it, suddenly catches a big bid with Bitcoin doing a whole lot of nothing.
Right.
Like it's not like it has to, but come on. Like Bitcoin's basically a lot of sideways action in here. So for MSTR to catch that kind of bid, my first thought was, I just typed Mara into my trading view and not my P Pro 8, so we'll look at it in P Pro 8. Was Mara making a move? Not really, a little bit, but not that strong, still 3.5 down. It's gonna be at VWAP. Feel like if the crypto names start to go, it's going to be a little bit of, this could be like one of those bleeds back to the upside. Like we're profit taking, like if you're profit taking because you're gonna get away from, you're not gonna be trading and it's New Year's Eve is coming in there and maybe this is your last day of trade until you get to the new year, well then the things that you were leaning on short, they would be covers to the other side. So I think that could be what's going on here, maybe, but it's obvious program buying with nothing happening on Bitcoin. I still have eyeballs on our INTZ. It's trying to hold. Like there's the pullback. It hasn't really given you a lot of strength since that high that we said I don't want the high today break. I'd like to see it hold a higher low after that. Well, it's still looking a little bit red, so it feels like it's on the pullback train from there. So Palantir is the only new position. This INTZ looking okay. What did SOUN? SOUN did go green? Yeah, it made the breakout. It could hold above here. If INTZ's not going to give the setup we want, and this one wants to consolidate over a breakout level, that's a good red to green story. Prior resistance into current support. Not bad at all. If this can close this bar holding 24.20, I think that looks just as good. Although I think you get a bigger percentage move on INTZ. It's a $2 stock, of course, that's true. Doesn't mean you can't find a win here in SOUN. So yeah, Palantir on watch, INTZ and SOUN now. I think that is a good one. No hate on that at all, Bearded Warriors.
Bearded Warriors, we're getting still $17. We'll go cheers up a little bit and just go a little bit awesome. Right there, we took off our cash cow hat, but it doesn't mean that we can't get some cash coming through there. There's another, so I mean, again, we talked about almost getting stopped out there for sure. It went up to 55s. Our stop was 61. We could have reloaded it, but we did not like the trend here in the market, but wow. Okay. I thought I was bidding. We did. We just got 15s. Okay. So there's a nice little pullback into 15 right now. So a nice little move here for Apple. So now I feel a little bit better about missing the AMD long because we have the Apple short, which just printed us at 15s right there, getting less and less on that one. So a good way to end end. We'll see what happens here. I'm not ending the trade, but ending the week, I was going to say. The week will be red now on the NASDAQ, which kind of sucks. So we'll wait to see if we can get back going. Palo Alto was a name that we wanted to look at a little bit as well. There was weakness in this space, and whenever there's weakness, Palo Alto probably worth buying a little bit, and I think people thought about that already because it is nicely off the bottoms as well, down there at 183. Oh, yeah, that's right. We just had the share split on PanW, so I have to call up a different
Easy to forget
chart.
that.
And this is it was just 3 for 1 or something like that? I mean, didn't remember what the price was. But Raiden, I should say, oh no, I have to probably zoom in, oopsies, to see what that split was there. Split. I can't see what it was. I'll zoom in on that in a minute. All right, so anyways, I was just going to say, Pan W right there, nice move to the downside into some of these levels. So we keep talking about chip names and, looking to diversify if you're looking for something else. What about Palo Alto? Has already sort of given some back into that pre-election level. Like there we are pre-election down into 182, and we just touched into that about today, 183, 184. So gave it all back and some, and we'll see if it does hold. But I like those levels as well to pan out with. Our CLW, I'm not selling any of these names. I'm just trying to show this to you. CrowdStrike, another one. Lucky enough that we are not involved in CrowdStrike until eventually, I think it was 260 is where we bought it. We did not buy that very bottom there in August. That would have been pretty sweet. So we're still long in and around 260. There on CrowdStrike. Polestar Racer says, is this Polestar finally bottoming? Regained $1. So we definitely like when stocks regain $1 there. Apple's trying to go to the downside. This is actually good. Thank you for asking me about this, because now I don't have to look at Apple, although it's on the side there and I'm thinking about getting more out. I am bidding Apple at 07. It's at 10s. Okay, so yeah, Polestar. I can't. Again, we can sort of zoom in here if we want to look over the last little while. I can't really appreciate too much Polestar here because we still are. There we are. We do get the 7s right there. So let's go on Apple. That's another 50 cents right there for Apple. But again, you're still underneath the 200, underneath the 50-period moving average. Look, I like the trade, but honestly, still downward there. Every single time we've tried to pop through, we've actually got faded out there. So just a little bit of a risk. You do get now that dollar bounce. But again, we've had the dollar bounce there. Only got as high as 121 before fading back into 80 cents. Had all these dollar possible bounces, right? Because there's the break right there, down under $1. There's the retake, and it went up 20%. So that's great. So if you can get a retake again of 20%, which you almost got there, that would not be a horrible spot as well. So, not a horrible thing there for Polestar, but again, like,
you know what I like?
Straight to the downside.
I like any stock that tries to make a bottom after that death cross.
The dollar break?
No, the death cross. That's the 50 and the 200, right?
Yeah, that's what those were.
So the 50 period just crossed the 200, which is a death cross, and then a penny stock makes a bottoming tail candle. But the thing is, like, let it break that trend and let people get squeezed on PSNY. Because I think, let me just double check. I don't want to say a short.
Probably not much of a short float.
Okay, yeah, it's not as much as you would have thought. It's only 7.5% short float.
Yeah, for some reason I knew that. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's okay. Never mind. I thought maybe this was one of those, hey, it's like 20, 30% short float, and you can really, if it breaks out, it's more of a squeeze play. But it doesn't mean if it doesn't break trend, it's not bad. I think it can still be pretty good. So just very quickly, a couple of things. The futures just came back.
Yeah.
But what's up with that candle? So Palantir pulls in, lower high at 79.40.
How about that?
It's printed 25s, it printed 20s, it's headed down to VWAP, and then you have a bottoming tail candle. I don't like bottoming tail candles above VWAP because a lot of times that'll mean it's going to reject and break out the top. So if that continues, if this breaks 79.5, I should be out. Let me just make sure I have the stop in there, which is a reason why you check, because I had gone to reprice it and didn't put it back in. So I don't like that kind of a bottoming tail candle in front of VWAP, and it does look like the market made a bit of a dip itself, NASDAQ into VWAP as well, trying to come back in. So we did get a 20 fill, and I got back in here in front of the 40s, but it does look like it has a chance to break higher. And then it was that INTZ. Yeah, it doesn't hold. It never catches a bid above that halt price, just still bleeding down. It's just the long entry didn't ever set up for this thing. Now you're going right back into VWAP. So you would like to see a consolidation, make a rounded bottom, some kind of a green candle to show you that there can be a bit of a buy here. And SP Williams, another super chat here. Palantir has a major stake in FFIE. Enough respect. Shout out to you. Hopefully you have some good lines over this holiday season, man. Nothing like a good lime. I wish I was in the islands right now, as cold as it gets up in here, but I did not know that. Palantir has a major stake in Faraday Future. Is that true? I don't.
Probably not. Maybe Derek can double check that. I don't want to say probably not true. I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of that, but
Could be. It doesn't really matter too much, but
no, but
yeah,
that could be is that the reason Faraday's going up? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I mean, if it's 170, yeah, sure, Derek. If you have it, we can go over there.
If it's moving.
They're ready. Let's go.
So actually, this is real. So as of a filing, this was published on October 9th. Palantir owns 8.7% of Faraday Futures. This was actually, October 2nd it went through. And this is the thing. They didn't really acquire them the traditional way. They were granted more than 800,000 shares in the company, quote, as payment for certain outstanding receivables. They're valued at about $2.4 million. This is a quiet settlement, basically. The EV startup stopped paying Palantir for services it agreed to buy back in 2021. So this was actually, interestingly enough, a settlement and less of a traditional share acquisition. And with that in mind, we also want to say at the time to thank Trade Ideas, because this Christmas, you can gift yourself the gift of smarter trading with Trade Ideas. Don't miss out on 25% off all subscriptions, including upgrades to premium. Just unlock powerful trading tools and insights to take your strategies to the next level. But you want to hurry because this special offer ends December 26th. Use code TraderTV25 at checkout to save big. Visit trade-ideas.com today and make this holiday season your most profitable yet. Back to you.
Thanks for the super chat there. We learned something else every single day. So good.
I don't know that I've ever heard of, you got some receivables and we can't pay up.
This is how Alex Karp does it, man.
Just take some shares, man. Here, you could get 25% of my penny stock company. And now this thing goes to $10. Karp's the winner.
This is why you like Palantir.
Well,
it's run like a mafia. You know, this is like a gang thing here. You can't pay, we'll take some stake in the company, you know.
Why not?
And that's it, man. It comes through and then it's all worked out in the end. So
I'm sure it does happen. I'm sure it's happened before. I'm just saying I can't recall a story.
It's funny because Faraday Future's up 30% right there, and Palantir is just like going down. It's like
wow.
You know, it's like, okay, well, we have a stake in the company, but on their balance sheet, it's not mean anything. So there goes Palantir. Anyways, nice move up. Just nice move up recently, not necessarily up on the day, but yeah, Palantir, good little call there. I mean, we'll just call out.
Just buy them in a week.
Oh yeah, they can sneeze and buy Faraday. I don't even know what Faraday's
$77 million.
$77 million. So Palantir probably just put that move in the last hour. So okay, so here we go. Apple right now. Nice move. Let's go. 45, 50 cents in the money. Look, we talked about this. This was literally 16 cents worth of risk. We talked about it 3 times, this trade, and we could have got it again. Well, we talked about it twice, I guess. The last time was right there. That was not really there, but we could have taken it there. So maybe 2 for sure reloads. If you wanted it there, you might have got more, but at the end of the day, it goes boom to the downside. It's Apple. It is that stock that we like. And it's a good move there to the downside now for Apple. Just trying to follow the market. Remember what we said, if the market loses, VWAP could be for a problem spot there, but Apple's been holding out okay. AMD, I said 126.50 would be a good turnaround spot there. Close enough. Could have got more aggressive on it. Did not. We chose that. And too bad. 126.15 or so was the high before falling right back in. Could have still been on this trade and it would have been fine, but you don't hold something almost $1 against you just for it to come back to flat. So we got out of that one pretty early and had to absorb none of that, keeping most of this trade, obviously, in our pocket there earlier. And there it is again, 126 to 126.50. It's exactly what we had written down on here into that range. But again, we talked about why we didn't like it. Just different time of day. And the momentum in the market was the other way. So right now, here comes the fade. Here comes the hot stepper. And we're going to wait to see right now if we can get even lower on this call now for Apple. So my next bid is 91s. Some of the bids that we've already gotten in the past. So we'll see if that can hold. And then you see right back into here, a little bit of consolidation back at around 1130 and in around 65s. And then you also have the 200 period down here as well. So we will be taking more out if we get into these areas. So 91, the first take there, and then 75, the next one. Let's just sit hands off a little bit here on Apple, work the trade to the downside and see if we can hit something now. So Apple downside, so far so good here. 50 cents in the money on 16 cents worth of risk. I wish we could trade IBIT. It's just, I don't really want to get caught in the middle. And remember, the market, crypto is going to be going all weekend. So it's not like the market closes here in 45 minutes and there needs to be some sort of a bouncing off of some of these lows. I'll take a shot in and around here, I think, 53.30s or so. Trying to see if there's any garbage down there. 30 cents worth of risk, probably worth it. What is the low of the day? We're charting that at 52.95 right now, quoting it at 52.95 low of the day. I think it's probably worth it taking it in and around 20.25 here for IBIT if we do come back in. But let's go. Apple trying to hold 225. Let's get out of 5% of what we have right there at 03s. Again, we just put up 03 bid. We probably should have punched out some 05s. Get it to us. There it is. Okay, we get that fill there at 05. We actually got part filled. I'm going to cancel the rest of it. Sorry, at 03s. And now we'll just hold on to that one. FFIE. You know what? We didn't talk too much about Rigetti there. It just keeps bouncing off 16. This is a level that we put on our sticky note earlier. We had talked about it. That is probably a level, just like this is probably a level as well. 18 bucks that high. I was thinking, like, where do we want to punch long if it gets going? You could definitely try the 16 again if that comes in. I don't think you really want to mess with it right here at VWAP. It's been fine holding it, but then when it loses it, it's gone. So where are you going to get out then? 716.90 maybe right now. So that could be something worth it. 17.10, 17.15 right there out. Let's zoom in just a little bit. I wish we could zoom in a little bit easier than having to do this. But, you know, taking it long here around VWAP or the 200 and then using the 50 period, maybe that could be something. Or I thought this break, 18.25 right there. So yeah, that's Rigetti. I only have Apple, and Apple is just kind of cruising right now. We did get some more out. So if there's any stocks other than these ones you want to talk about, put them in the chat and I'll definitely have a look.
Yeah, exactly. With only 45 minutes to go, I mean, something's going to have to pop up to jump our attention before we get these imbalances. Palantir just bounced off VWAP, so we'll reload it if we get back up toward the top end of the range. And let me just zoom out so you can see. Like, it's not at a random price. I get it, it's above VWAP, but it's under resistance above VWAP. And then that INTZ, Intrusion Inc., just caught a bid off at $2. So there you go. It finally reverted the trend. If it can now hold above $2, I like the long in INTZ. I'm also still eyeballing, like, obviously that SOUN, it's holding, but it's not looking super strong. Right? Like, it's holding above the prior low. Got a couple of wicks in here. It's been mostly weakness and selling off that consolidation, but if it can close it green, this looks good for a continuation play. It's a red to green story as well for SoundHound. You know, obviously going green. I think it's got an obvious target area. If it holds this, you're playing for yesterday's high, as long as it can hold on to this 24 level. But it's having some trouble doing it. Just be a little bit patient with that move. NVIDIA, I guess NVIDIA was a short at 137. So much for it breaking out that top. Yeah, it's just hanging out. I guess it's a short at the 137 level on NVIDIA. It felt like it was strong and this was going to break out, but I suppose you could put it in that other category. So again, just in Palantir, that INTZ's trying to go, and I do like the look of SoundHound if it can hold on to 24. Close this bar above 24, look for the breakout. Still have eyeballs on GTI as well, but I feel like the chance for this to run away from $1 has come and gone. Celery 2 just put WBA. What about them? Oh, Walgreens. It's been a bad year for Walgreens.
The Boots Alliance?
Yeah, things haven't been going that well for them. But you know what? It's actually off the lows. Credit, it's off the lows. I'll give it that. It's actually not that bad. I thought this was a little bit closer to its lows. I guess it's made a bottom here temporarily at 8. This is above the 50-period moving average, which is good in that it spent most of the year rejecting it. Like, look at it. Let's just look at this. I guess selling at the 50. If they're selling on a stock at the 50 period on the daily for the entirety of the year, then you take closes above it and breakouts above it pretty seriously. If it can hold and break out this level at 1130, that's where I get excited about the stock. Not to try to get the bottom, but to try to play the break off of the bottom. And that would be confirmation if it goes another 15% or so on Walgreens. I don't see a trade this afternoon, but I don't know. I think the bottom picking stock that has my attention for the next couple of weeks is Adobe, personally. But yeah, you could have an eyeball at this. It's going to hold that 50-period moving average. I just tend to prefer like stocks pulling back in long-term uptrends as opposed to stocks trying to break off of a very long downtrend at the bottom. Like, what made Adobe interesting to me is when even though it looks bad, on a 15-minute or a daily chart, like if you go and pull back the chart like a lot longer, like you've got like a nice long upward trend, generally speaking, and you've got some pretty big levels in here. So you have a ton of support underneath it, as opposed to, hey, your support on Walgreens is the all-time low.
Right.
That's just my thing. I'd rather buy dips on stronger stocks and try to pick bottoms. They've just been getting their, what's clean.
Well, I think
You don't compete with when Walmart and Amazon come in. Yeah, when Walmart and Amazon come into your space, I don't want to invest anymore. It's just like, buy Walmart and Amazon.
Yeah, if you're in Walgreens, you got to assess like, okay, what is the reason to be in it? And I think it's all changed with Amazon. And I do not talk about that all the time. Like, you can get stuff delivered literally same day. Right now, that you're not risking, not that it's a risk, but some people don't like to shop anymore, like to stay in, whatever. So we'll wait to see. And again, let alone, like, I don't think we're going to go through anything more or anything else similar to COVID. I mean, like that again. But then that would really kill everything, retail, if that ever happened again. Okay. What do we want to talk about? I saw something going through for Disney, but it wasn't really a story. There was some Bitcoin news going on, Chipotle. Stocks heading into the new year. I mean, stocks I like SMR again. I talked about I want to do some work on that AAPL to see if there's anything going on there. OKLO in the uranium space. I mean, although we're seeing a lot of stuff going on now with quantum, obviously, we've seen runs in uranium as well that have really sort of cooled off right now. So I still think there's going to be a lot of talk for this in the new year, especially maybe some M&A news. We did see NUKK as well. Nucleus going nuclear over the last little while, and that seems to be also not today though on Nuke. So there it is, like $6, $3, boom, up to 39. Actually pretty calm right now on the day. I was like, what's going on with this volume here on Nuke? But not much going on there. So that would be another play, and then the URA.
I was get surprised when those names like Nuke will have that big of a parabolic move, stop going, and then hold that big of a high. Like, I would have suspected if it's
like normally they pull back. You know what name we haven't looked at in a while is, what about DJT? I mean, where's all the news on this thing? Talk about something that's gone to sleep for a minute here, maybe. DJT, well, it's still actually pretty good, like holding the 50-period moving average, actually looking pretty strong right now, to be honest with you.
That might be a shot play into the inauguration.
That's the thing.
We just went long off the 50
this guy's
period.
Acquiring new countries. This guy's doing a lot of things. I mean, who knows? Acquiring new countries into the portfolio. I mean, there's lots of opportunities here for DJT.
He doesn't want to take that.
And getting back up there to the upside. Truth
He doesn't want our headaches.
Continues to make moves. So there you go. DJT, a nice move there. Come on, Apple. You gotta break a little bit lower, don't you, at some point? All right.
It's a good question.
There is one? All right.
Well, okay, first of all, we're not here to give you investing advice. We can look at a chart, tell you, hey, this is what I'm doing. I like this chart on Adobe. I'm looking for this setup for me to buy it personally. That's the kind of thing we can say. But the question was, should I sell Microsoft for Apple? That's one of those. What's interesting is I never ask myself that question in my own portfolio. Because to me, it's like I just own both. Like it would be more along the lines of, do I want to own less of Microsoft? If I want to buy more Apple, I just buy more Apple. But I would make the argument that I like Apple more than I like Microsoft here. That's the best way to put it, I think. That's probably the safest way to put it. Like, I feel a lot safer. I own more Apple than Microsoft in my personal account by a relatively wide margin. I'd say a pretty extremely wide margin. And obviously, it's about to become a $4 trillion company. These used to be neck and neck, and it's been much stronger. It's a stronger looking chart. With all of that said, if you like Microsoft, I mean, how has it been before? It's not bad. Look at it hold the 50 period, the 200 period. It hasn't been able to claw back to the highs like the rest, and I think that's another thing that goes against them. But it's got some support going on for it. I think people are disappointed with the monetization of. They just haven't been able to make their monetization of AI work. You're not hearing the things that you want to out of integrating it into Office, which I think the potential is there, but I think it's just turned out to be a bit of a disappointment. Until that turns around, it's probably going to lag a little bit. Whereas everyone knows Apple's going to sell a boatload of devices. So, it kind of is what it is. I do prefer Apple, but when you buy and hold something like a Microsoft, it's not as if you're not in the poorhouse. It's been doing fine. And as a trade, heck, if it bounces a 200 pre-moving average, why not? Like allow it to bounce off that level. I think it's a good stock. It's just I like Apple a heck of a lot better. Oh, Apple, you're beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at this thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's nice.
I mean, people, that's what we're talking about, like owning that name basically forever. I mean, that's going to be a good stock for a very, very.
And I don't even I don't use Apple products. My entire family does. I don't. It's just like you recognize the better company or the best company in that space.
They've had the most successful consumer electronics product of all time. And,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
And they've had 3 or 4 of them. I mean, it's just like it's not, at some point, it's not a fluke anymore as everybody, and again, it's just a consumer satisfaction aspect of it as well. And then now everybody's in the environment with Apple. So it's like once you're there, and it's just one of them things right there. Yeah, I mean, I like them all now as we go. We're getting back down to 17, so we can keep on looking there, but at the same time, it's not doing a whole heck of a lot. Yeah, Faraday just keeps on going there, up 31 and change percent. Yeah, nice move there on the 5 minutes. I would say right around here, 21,650. Something like that coming into play right now for for the NASDAQ off VWAP right there, so underneath. So looking short still on the main market. But for Faraday futures, I mean, zooming out's not going to do anything. So what about looking at this to see if there is some sort of a level? $2. I mean, fading out through $2 might be something. So $2, $1.75 up to $2 maybe, but you're already over the 50 period. This is actually looking fine. We talked about Fisker. I heard everyone talking about that one going bankrupt there as well. And we'll have to wait to see as Faraday just getting above $1, getting that nice little bump up today. I don't know, you want to hold it into the close. This thing has done, millions and millions of shares. So 24 million, it could actually get going a lot more than what it's doing right now. That is for sure. Is Amazon below 225? What is Amazon doing? Yeah, so it's still below 225 here for AMZN. We got out of more of that Apple, man. It's just like hovering around 255, not doing anything. All right, yeah, so we were looking, again, reason why I said that 225, I'd like it to be a little bit closer if we were going to look to short it. That 225 was the downside move there for Amazon. Again, some of these names are pulling back. I mean, the NASDAQ is giving you an opportunity to dollar cost average, if that's something that you like to do on the NASDAQ over the last little while, that's for sure. And Amazon, sort of the same thing. That 220's been holding. When we lose it, we probably do go back into 210. Wouldn't be surprised here a little bit in the next couple of days if we do start to just give back a little bit. Even if you bleed like 0.5% a day in the NASDAQ, some of these names will come back into some levels that I believe get bought up at the beginning of the year again. So we'll have to wait to see if there is that buy, putting money that's to work on the sidelines to work in the market and picking some of the Mag 7, the biggest winners, I think will get bought up. And lately, those have been this Amazon, the Googles that have really started to go, and Apple as well. I think any sort of pullback on those names in the broader market are ones that I'd buy starting not the 1st of January, but starting into the new year as we continue to go higher. The other name I wrote down, AMD, Rigetti, Micron, and Reddit. Let's check out Reddit. The reason why, I mean, we bypass Reddit because the market's not up today, so we know it's not breaking that 180 area. But that was a trade that happened yesterday during the middle of the day. We weren't on it. If we were, we would have had it. We talked about that break of 180 right there. It does break 180, goes all the way up to 182. It happens right in the middle of the day there. We're at 12 o'clock. Nice break higher, lots of volume at close. And then today, unfortunately, destructed off the open like everything was, and then just making its way back. I mean, Reddit could go positive potentially at some point today. We'll see if that is a possibility or not. But Reddit right now, I still like the stock waiting for that 180 break. I think that's going to be our best plan of action there on Reddit. So a trade for next week, if we were doing like tomorrow's trade today, I think Reddit would be a good possibility candidate there to trade on Monday in and around that 180 mark.
Because you mentioned Reddit, the other ridiculously good IPO for the vast majority of 2024, I don't know if anybody's looked at Kava in a while, but this is really starting to accelerate its pullback. And while it had already accelerated, like 170 top, VWAP, I think it's about to get the 200 period moving average at $100. This gets really interesting for Kava. It hasn't sniffed the 200 period moving average. You have to zoom way out to even find it the last time it was down here. Like, see what I mean? Like, this is a pretty hefty pullback. And if you're
big time,
like when you're trying to get into these things, and like the example I would use is Chipotle. Sometimes these are your opportunities. I don't know much about them. I'll be honest. again, you hear all these things like, hey, the next Chipotle and all that, but I don't really know. I've never eaten there, so I couldn't really tell you. But yeah, this is one. The second you said Reddit, I was like, oh yeah. I remember looking at Kava the last time, and this does look like it's going to pull into that 200 period. This see, muscle memory. I almost typed in Intel. INTZ just came in. 15 minutes, no good. Let's go to the 3-minute here. Just came in, gave us the consolidation break off of 220, tried to press into the highs. I mean, okay, it was going, but you never got the high of the day break in there. Ideally, looking for it to break here and hold it through the high of the day break, and then you have a chance at a halt. But it's 3:30, it immediately runs out of juice. So yeah, maybe you give it a wider stop, but I would argue the time of day and the fact that the volume instantly dried up on that breakout. Like it broke out, started going, and then the volume just immediately started dying on that INTZ. So we'll see what happens overall going into the close. I'll give it maybe one more chance to try and hold this consolidation, but it's going to have to start picking up volume right quick. PLTR is not going to give us, I don't know if we're going to get a reload off PLTR one more time. It's 3:30. We're still trying to get some off that 79.50 one more time as it keeps bouncing off VWAP. If it breaks VWAP, I'm bidding down 78.8 because that's where prior support was. And I see IK in the chat saying, come on, Tesla, let's go. Is the buyer coming into Tesla? Nope.
No, that buyer, I showed you yesterday. It got
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm hoping that late day buyer could come in where it was just like, hey, you see it start happening and then you just buy into it. Yeah, I don't think Tesla's got it today. It's 3:30. If it was going to happen, you got to figure it would have happened for Tesla already. You know, when we were talking about Tesla versus Broadcom, it had mostly to do with, well, I just feel as if Broadcom has a better chance to hold some of these highs. This move has been awfully parabolic by Tesla for a longer period of time. And why wouldn't you come back into the 50 period? Like to me, anybody that was selling up here, like, hey, they'll be hand over fist to jump back in the 340 to 360 range. I'd be a buyer down there, but it's got to get there first. I just feel Tesla might be in this pullback phase, and eventually we'll have to come to grips with that 420 again, maybe even Monday.
Yeah, I like to buy the dips. I think Tesla's proven itself to be, that AI play and that big data play that a lot of us are hoping that it can be. I'm getting a little bored with Apple. I mean, it's the trade that I'm in. And we just took, I thought I got filled down there at 03. I guess I did not. So I did take some 15s there, and then I did put a bid at 03. Thought I got it, did not. It looks like it went to 04. So I'm going to take another piece out there. I'm still waiting for 93s, which is pretty much the low here. The best we've gotten, though, was like 99s or O's, I guess. O's a couple times. So if it comes back into 03 right now, for some reason, I went over there, and I thought I got the fill. I just pushed bid, enter, and I guess it kind of shot up from there. Now it doesn't even want to go. No, come on. Anyways, getting bored with it. Apple. We will wait for those imbalances to come out. I want to thank everybody for watching again here today. Coming into the close, INSW. Okay, I don't know what this is, but INSW with a sell imbalance there. Sort of maybe could be an index change or something like that happening today. We'll figure that out. Is that Coupang there? CPNG with a sell. These are all names on the New York. Anything that's with the NASDAQ will not be live.
Well, that's the wrong way.
Those are not going to be the other thing there. So what INSW?
INSW is being added to the S&P 600.
So there you go. Okay. So that's being added. So that's a little bit of a sell imbalance. We could see that flipping through as well. All right, there it is. Let's go. A little bit of diamond hands there. We get 03s. So there it is. Okay. Maybe okay. We almost got 95s there. We're at 93, 97s, 98s, 99s. We got as low as 95s right there. Hey, man, it's 50 cents. So we'll take it right there on a good trade so far anyways. Looking like a good trade on Apple, trying to get to that bottom. So we'll see if we can pick something up down there and be able to hopefully catch a little bit more down drift in the futures, but right now it's not doing a whole heck of a lot. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. I mean, there isn't a whole heck of a lot happening right now. That's why we're trying to do, not just trying to do our best. I think we are pretty much doing everything that we should be. Talking about the market, taking your questions. Funware, NVDA, yeah, sure.
There's a decent size expected add to the S&P 500 or increase. There's an upweight on Arthur J. Gallagher, and the notional's like $1 billion.
Jay Gallagher,
like 1.4 billion notional to trade. 500 million net shares. That could be worth a watch at the close.
Kaboom.
It hasn't even traded 1 million shares today. I might keep that one up.
Oh, damn.
What I like about it, again, it's not going to be terribly liquid, but that's a very large notional, 5 million net shares potentially to the upside for this one, and it's only done 1/5 of that today. So if this comes out a big buy imbalance, that could be worth having a look in about 15 minutes or so. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on this. The second you mentioned that INSW, I pulled up the sheet and I saw this. Chewy's a small floating crease on the S&P 400, but this one's much bigger. Right? What is this called again? Arthur J. Gallagher Company, AJG.
Yeah, so I mean, that's we had that super chat from Nimrod before asking to explain the market on close and balances, and that's basically what it is, right? I mean, you'll start to line it up, and just right now, those are public. So the New York ones are public, the NASDAQ ones are not. So you'll see by the time here, the last update for this INSW was actually a while ago, like 326. So right now, there's a seller of 1.7 million shares, and there's only been indicated interest the other way of 136,000. So that's not even close to getting paired off. So hopefully pretty soon it will become paired off and then give you a much cleaner look at what might be happening here into the open for the next play. So that's what that is right there. I'm just trying to get some orders set up because I don't know. We just keep on missing our Apple trade here. Unfortunately, I mean, I'd like to get it. We talked about that. Hopefully Apple will come back in. We are bidding the low 90s. And now the 200 period's all the way up here. So we're going to have to start getting something out. I'm still waiting at 75. Hopefully we do get a drip down on that one. But right now, let's go over and see what Neil's talking about.
We're talking about e-signal. Hey, we were just talking about some imbalances. Well, where do you think you can get imbalanced data as well? Everything you need in one spot with eSignal. Yeah, we can talk about lightning fast charts. We know all about it. Reliable data, every indicator you could possibly imagine, an API so that you can automate your strategies. Again, at the end of the day, it's about the reliability and the volume of opportunities available. Yes, you do have that locator like we said, but even the more basic things. You just want to make some trades off of some moving averages, well then you can take that, you can set up a watch list of stocks and a screener. You can set up any kind of parameter you want to be able to test. Maybe it's a bounce off of VWAP into whatever moving average. You run some back testing on it, run some forward testing on it, and then you can go forward with more confidence with your trading. Whether you're new to the market or whether you're a seasoned pro, eSignal is going to be for you. If you're trying to step up your game, you want everything in a simple place. It's highly customizable, and most traders that use it pretty much never go back. I can tell you that with 100% certainty. It's very, very reliable. They don't go down. If the market's open, they're like us. If the market's open, then your data is good with eSignal. So check them out. Scan the QR code you find right in front of you. Click the link in the description because you want to be able to trade smarter, not harder, and do that with the best charting platform available. Shout out to eSignal. And as I said, you got the locator there as well. So if you're looking to make, hey, maybe there's a trade at the close, maybe we find something on the S&P rebalances at the year end like we were talking about with Palantir, you're going to be able to see those on eSignal as well. So shout out to them. Speaking of, we just lost VWAP on Palantir.
Yeah.
That's still going. Shout out to you, eSignal, as it keeps going.
And going.
They have so much.
Got to get rid of it.
They have so much that they can keep
going
just
and
so
going.
much.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah,
There's endless. You get lost in all the indicators that they have.
There's just so many.
But one of those is VWAP, and VWAP just got taken here finally on Palantir. I guess we're not going to get the reload up at resistance in front of 79.5, but I am looking target down at 78.80, just sitting right in here actually at the 3/4 mark. If we consolidate and break down, that's going to be the out. Does look like it's just a little bit of a, what's the best word? Yeah, it's just a little bit of a pullback off the highs. And I think when you have a parabolic stock like this, it seems like 3.8% is a lot, but Palantir on the, what is this, the 20th? Palantir had a 71 to 80 day, right? And it's actually, and since it pulled back from that level, it held on to the prior low. So even this 2-3 day pullback that you're seeing on Palantir is still holding the higher low from before and this prior resistance. So in a trend sense, it's all good. Like all it's doing is pulling back into some prior highs off that all-time high. But it's, again, I think it's a short at those levels into here, and then maybe next week we're talking about longs, or maybe into next year we're talking about longs off to 77. Who knows? Palantir for now has been short. Tesla's trying to bounce going into these imbalances. Someone just said in the okay, I mean, it's got a green candle on it. I don't know about trying to bounce. Tesla's still not looking that good. When Tesla bounces at the close, you know. Like it's green, 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 and then you just want to join. You see 2, 3 green candles in a row, and then you just want to try to jump into VWAP here, but I'm not seeing anything like that on Tesla. Not today. And one green candle is not enough to like the long on Tesla.
No, I would say just be careful with no matter what you guys have been doing here today on Tesla. It's been back and forth. So, I mean, I would just say, I think it's still going to be a good trade into the close. At this point, though, with 340 right on the nose, I think it's very, very risky to try to hold something against what could be the imbalances. We have 0-day to trade options expiring. It's also the Friday right now, so there is going to be more options expiration action just from the weeklies going through as well. So we could get a little bit of unsuspecting moves there into the close. So just be careful with it. Doesn't mean to not trade anything. I mean, we're still in Apple. We've been getting lighter and lighter and lighter on this, like crazy. We just touched 255. We said that we were getting a little bit bored with it. So we were starting to get more out as we've lost faith in this name. I think for, just for looking around at some broader markets, I mean, I think the spiders there on the Amex, of course, always been a good thing to trade as far as looking for. Look, there's SPXL, there are some different ETFs, but generally speaking, I mean, when you're talking about options and things like that, SPY does such good volume, obviously tracks the S&P 500 exactly, so low management fee and whatnot, definitely a highly traded instrument, SPY, one of the most for options there that go through. 595 right there, nice little offer that came through. It smashed this thing back down into 593. Looks like the SP 500 continuously going a little bit lower. I would stay short, net short here based on this action on the SPY. So underneath VWAP, nice little take there, coming back into this level, got that garbage out of there, then rejected it right back into the downside. I think 591 possible there into the close on a 5-minute chart for spiders, which would be a nice move. $2 to the downside. You've broken below VWAP right now. It looks like we could continue a little bit of a lower move. Let me check out what's going on with XLF real quick here. That could come in tonight. It's still SPY. Come on, charts. Yeah, so there's a nice downside move again. We did talk a little bit about the financial sector, and we did have that sector look that Joe has made famous for us. We want to thank Joe for that as well. We did talk about wanting to do this a little more often, so I'm glad that we're doing it now. There's the change here. We'll sort of by change in percentage points. Consumer discretionary, downside information technology. I mean, some of the big names that we've talked about starting to go downside. Consumer discretionary, Tesla, going to be a big name into that. Then comm services down 1.39%. So nothing on here. Utilities and energy also both red today. So downside moves. If we switch it over and see what's been positive today, this is showing me nothing. So no positive sectors out of these top 10 sectors today. So not much happening right there in the broader market. Well, here, I got to sort.
I was just looking at industrials, that's all.
Right here, down 1% right there. So industrials down 1, utilities as well. And again, we talked about this yesterday, like you can now get 4 or 5% in money markets. So, to sit there and trade stock and own stock that may be like a Pfizer or some of the industrials that also give you a little bit of juice as far as a dividend and yield are concerned.
They're not as appealing.
Those stocks just aren't as attractive when you can get that yield for free.
The good ones, I'm not talking the Pfizers of the world. Like maybe like the Caterpillar.
Oh yeah, lots of good names still.
Yeah, like Caterpillar in this weakness, this is a 200 period moving average holder as well. Like sometimes you just gotta like the stocks that you like, the companies that are fantastic companies, like look at it, hold that 200 period. What's Deere? I bet you Deere is giving you a similar look as well. These are like the two go-to.
These ones?
I like to look at, agriculture and then obviously good industrial. Let me load this one up. DE, yeah, it's just chilling 50 period. Where's the 200? Probably not even in sight. Not even in sight. But John Deere, same thing. Good stock, pullback phase, bouncing off a prior high and the 50 period. Both of those look like spots. Okay, candidly, I own Caterpillar, so when it gets to like a 50 or 200, I'm generally a buyer of the stock, but I don't own Deere. This respects, and if you're using major moving averages, you like to use them when they matter. And this is a stock where its response to the 50 and the 200 has actually mattered recently. So Deere looks actually pretty solid. I don't think you can argue with that whatsoever. And a Caterpillar, another good name in there. And we see like the Alex Piotrowski, Pfizer is a great dividend and way undervalued here. True, but I think things need to simmer for them going into the new administration. You know, obviously it's had a lot of things go poorly. It's trying to make a bottom. I will grant it that. And if you pull out a weekly chart, you'd be able to see some of the levels, but it's trying to make a bottom. You can see it at that 25 level. It's making a nice rounded bottom. I have my eyeballs on this one. You know, I owned a bunch of Pfizer because it was great during the pandemic, man. It is what it is. I'm not going to be shy about that. But on the way back in, it kind of stunk. You know, and I didn't hold on to a ton, but I held on to enough to be like, why do I always do that? When something is really good for you, that doesn't mean when you hold on to 10, 20% of it, that just because you made money on it, it's worth holding all the way back to the bottom. It's a nonsensical way to look at things, but everyone's bag held themselves that way just because a prior position was really good in the money for you. You're like, yeah, but I can't lose on it. Yeah, but you could also put that money somewhere else. And then the dividend's holding it afloat. So, it is what it is. Oddly enough, I don't drip this one. So it's not like when I own Pfizer, I never actually reinvest the dividends into the stock.
Right.
For those, to me, like I wanted to drip into things just for myself. I want to drip into companies I want to own more of at the moment that's happening. So like Apple has a dividend, that's always going right into buying more Apple stock. I don't do that with Pfizer. It's like if I have it, just give me the cash, and then I'll put the cash into something.
Yep, I like that one. If it's drip eligible, I pretty much always drip it because I don't manage my account.
There's a few things that I don't, but
yeah.
Stock with to the downside.
Yeah, especially if you don't like the name. I mean, I like the logic there, that's for sure. Okay, so yeah, let's just go more out of Apple down here at 255. We actually sort of talked about this and that we didn't like the stock that much heading into the imbalances. So we'll get more out. Probably on, a stop now to, let's just change our stop now because again, to lose something on the imbalance would be ridiculous. So 255. I'm just going to put it up here. Let's just do that stop where we started taking some out at the top side, 35. So 235, 255, 36, we'll get out of. Let's get out of 75% just in case it does blast a little bit through that level. And we don't want to get out of it all, but we just took some more out there at O's. So good trade there. We still are bidding 93 and then 75 in case those imbalances come the other way, and that would be downside. Would be the other way for us. All right, Rigetti, let's go check that out, still at $17. Another name that was moving around today, of course, QBTS, just to check out more quantum space, still $9.79. So there's been a little bit of a lull in the space there this afternoon. So, I mean, names are still moving around, but not super aggressively like they were previously. GameStop, good day today for some movement early where it went to the downside from $33 down to 30 and change. Yesterday, we were able to, that's too low. Actually, pretty good that we didn't look at this today because we might have gone long off of yesterday. We had this exact print yesterday, 3160s. So we had that print long. Yeah, and then today, boom, right down to the downside. Breaking that level was obviously pretty key. You could see goes right back into there. So 31.75. I wish we would have had a 31.50 break going on there. That would have given you about 75 cents before. Nice move back up. So GameStop, we're not going to get there now. Only 2 minutes until the imbalances, but not a bad short area right there on GameStop, $32. Let's call it that. So we'll see if that comes out right now, which way, but only a minute and a half left. And a good thing we did take something out on Apple as that's trying to run a little bit higher. So more outs down here, as you saw at 99 and then again at 05, just before we run upside here into the close. So yeah, thanks for joining. Make sure you do hit the like and the subscribe. We've got the after show coming through as well. That should be a lot of fun. And yeah, Moderna,
there's another one.
Would be another one there. You aren't going to get dividends for this, but down to $40. And again, getting removed there out of the NASDAQ. So not a great day for Moderna last week. But yeah, yikes is right.
Someone just mentioned that
look at this
Mullen
stock.
did it again.
That's May.
Mullen's a penny stock again.
May. Mullen.
Unbelievable.
What do you mean a penny stock? Sub what?
No, it's well because Mullen split so many times.
Oh, it's sub down $1.
It's like the record. By the way, I did trail out 79s on Palantir, so there was a trail. Like it tried to break down that last look down into like 78, 70 area in here. It just couldn't do it. So I put the trail on, don't want to hold it all the way back up through VWAP. So you take what you can get there. Like I said, Palantir probably in the midst of a healthy pullback, but it's just when someone mentioned this on Mullen, these are the kind of names that people try to dream on, and them and who is it? There's another company that's ridiculously bad for this over history. It'll come to me in a second. Like the worst repeat offenders of all time for reverse splitting and going back to penny stock status. Like this just reverse split in September and was $12. And now it's a penny stock again.
Right, the imbalances are now.
They just did this. Imbalances are out. Anything big? NVIDIA 3.5 to buy.
Yeah, big ones.
It's about Broadcom 1.2 to the buy side. Amazon 1 million to the buy side. So a couple of decent buy imbalances that we can see here. I don't see that.
Amazon market.
AJG though doesn't look like it's there, unfortunately. So yeah, whatever. Thought that could have been a decent imbalance if it had shown up, but it's not there. NVIDIA is the big story.
Yeah, so look at this. Google buy, Apple. I mean, we talked about the NASDAQ getting that bid there. When the NASDAQ was down over 2%, we had mentioned to you probably a bid there into the close. It's gotten back a little bit there, now only down 1.5, but look at this. Buy on Google, buy on Apple. Apple took us out a little bit there. I'm going to play... not yet. I was going to play the reversion because I think that once 355 hits, we probably go backside there. So NVIDIA, boom. This is what I'm saying. Like, if you're going to go long or short, there's Broadcom with the bid as well at the end of the day. Nice move higher there. Oops. Sort of by size right there. All right, TLT is always on there. Yeah, so Comcast, there's Microsoft. Someone had a question about Microsoft earlier on in the afternoon as well. So like out of nowhere, like if you're going to go short right here, that's probably a good play, right? At the 50-period moving average. Well, there you go, minus $1.50 if you did that on nothing that you did. I mean, as the market continues to go higher. We have a very, very small piece of Apple left. We got it at 75%. Remember, we only had like 10% left anyways, maybe even less than that on Apple, so it is starting to go back up. I'm waiting for it to get closer to 355 and we can go the other way. But look at NVIDIA taking out right back to these levels. Remember we said we'd like this break long? It's too bad right now because we can't take it on this.
I know.
At 355, like you see, this was actually 10 million on the paired plus 2.5. So you already had 12 million shares. So this could, if there was more interest coming in right now, there could be some sellers waiting to actually hit this the other way right now on NVIDIA. So watch out for 355. You could get a little bit of a reversal. I actually might take some short now on Apple, waiting for that reversal against 256. I might do it. Nice move up here for Apple.
Yeah, it's a great move up.
Let's try.
That 355 run, like, trust me, like it's a very actionable trade. You don't need there to be some hold to the close type of trade in there. Sometimes you just take advantage, just pure mean reversion. It's a little bit different when you have it bouncing on that imbalance into some possible resistance levels. But there was this H band, which I looked up, 1.7 million to an 8 million imbalance as well. That could be, if it stays, these are only interesting if they stay. You got to keep that in mind. I'm not that interested if it does flip. But that Arthur J, whatever it was, what did I say the company was? AJG, Arthur J. Gallagher. It did come out the right way. It just was not very big. So it probably was an opportunity if you were lightning fast on this. But when I didn't see it over 1 million shares, I didn't consider punching into it. It was like a 500,000 imbalance when we were expecting 5 million. So to me, that's way too small relative to what we were expecting. But had you punched long, it actually did work. But just to let you know, like that wouldn't. No, if it comes 1/10 the size you're expecting, that's not a punch long situation for me. 500,000 imbalance is not a heck of a lot, but it would have worked out for you if you liked it. Nick Dubs, thank you for the super chat, Nick. I've been trying to short ARM down to 115 area and then go long. Moves a lot each day. Any thoughts on puts on ARM? You always have to be careful with ARM. There's not a lot of shares available out there and a lot of insiders that hold it and a lot of big companies that hold it that are never selling. So like when it decides to make the strong move to the upside, it's easy to get pushed out, always have an out. It has been on a nice pullback. It's underneath the 50 period. I think and the 200, I think we mentioned this when it was breaking the 200 period the first time you're in the consolidated phase, but look at it hold 125. I keep waiting for it to pull back in here because I keep stink bidding this thing 25% down when it loses the 200 period moving average. And guess what doesn't happen, Nick? It never actually flushes after it loses the 200 period moving average. It didn't do it here. It didn't do it here. It didn't do it here, I'd like to think that it could do it. Obviously, it's got a ridiculously high valuation. We all know this. But yeah, the trouble is if it doesn't do it soon, eventually the buyers usually step back into this. I think we just had that pairing event.
Yeah, not quite yet, but look what we just did right there. Let's go. Bang, bang, bang. Oh my on Apple, man. Dish best served cold right there, called Revenge on Apple, as we shorted some 70s there and just got printed real low, man. 20s? Like that's 50 cents right there off of that, Mr. Long Shorts. Yeah, the paired value that you're going to see here. Thank you for the question. Thank you for all the super chats. That's just seen like now again. Okay, there it goes. So it did pair off. Here we go to the downside right now for Apple. All right, I'm just going to get another bid here at 20 if we can get it. Bang, there it goes, another 50-cent winner. So we are stacking up right now, good time stacking now on Apple back down to that downside. So yeah, you're just looking. I mean, again, I don't know if I can find it, but there's Amazon. So these are just sort of it's like an auction. It's like it was available to buy or to sell, and then the posted number, whatever's on this side first, like the size, as long as there's a paired off number, it sort of means that that's where it started. So like right now, I would say this started as a 3.6 million buy, and there's been 1 million into it, so it still leaves this number left. So like on NVIDIA there, it was a 18 million share sell at one point, and the buyers came in, oopsies, and turned it around the other way there on NVIDIA. Now I just messed that up. So right there, NVIDIA now has turned into a sell. I don't know if it's flipped. Like you'd have to see what it came out as the first spot there. So we'll do something else. We'll do some more videos. We're going to plan on some more videos that are very easy to understand. We do have an imbalanced video that's out there, but we're working on more because it's been a very, very popular question, as well as the VWAPs and SMAs and all that kind of stuff.
We have one more super chat.
All right.
So I'm going to get up to the desk. We have one more super chat from Dillick. In here, appreciate you, Dylon. Yo, what's up, Dylon. Wanted to know if Walmart can be checked. Of course it can. I just cancel all my orders. I still have a stop order out. Believe it or not, you don't want that to trigger. We can check Walmart. Today, not a good day, but then was it a good day for anything? What I will say, yeah, I get it. It's 30 times, so some people might say it's a little bit expensive, but I think Walmart, at this point, it's also an AI play because they've done a lot of optimization and inefficiencies through AI. And I love the fact that it just gave you a dip buy into the 50-period moving average, which I think I mentioned last week that I took advantage, or a couple of days ago that I took advantage of. Like, why let it get there when it bounces? I remember saying this when it was to Obi. When I'm trying to accumulate a stock, I've done this so many times where I stink bid in front of the 50-period moving average, knowing full well all I'm trying to do is add another 10 to 15% to my portfolio in the stock, and I don't care whether I have it at 88.30 or at 89.20. And I leave the bid in there, don't get picked up, and then it goes to all-time highs and I never get to dip buy. So I like this in front of the 50-period. I think obviously it's in a little bit of a turnaround because it was a parabolic mover up, and I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't continue to give dip buys going into the next quarter because it's gotten a little bit pricey and it's been exuberant. I think that provides an opportunity. Short term, and maybe it's going to have a couple of red days on it, but I think that's always good. I never mind when stocks like these go down. It just gives you a chance to get more in. I'm going to head on up to the desk. It's been a good one.
Right,
hey, have fun at Wonderland tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. I'm exhausted.
Also at the hockey game as well.
Yeah, we have hockey game tonight, then some sort of an outdoor birthday party tomorrow.
Outdoor birthday?
It's at a rink, an ODR. So she's going to go to some outdoor rink. And then we'll be at Wonderland. So yeah, it should be fun coming through. All right, yeah, so the recap show there with Neil and Adara coming up at 4 p.m. So join them today. Maybe some Q&A going on. We'll figure out what they're doing. But thanks, Neil, for that. All right, so here we go. Yeah, we took advantage of Apple at the end of the day. Make sure you do hit the like and subscribe. I mean, even though the show is about to end, how many do we got going on right now? Drag and drop. 521. Thank you so much. Over 4,000 watching. Please hit the like and the subscribe on this one. Only a minute and a bit left to go. NASDAQ, just a quick little look today. NASDAQ will be down 1.4%. The diamonds, which of course will be right there, AM. Over here on NYSE ARCA, the Dow Jones down only 0.77. This is the name that I've been sort of dip buying in lately as well. The diamond spiders down 1.07% as wow. Now look at the excitement coming into this market here with only a minute left. Wow. All right, I'm going to put another bid down here on Apple, see if we get something a little bit lower on that as we're taking out near some of these afternoon highs one more time on AAPL. So with only 30 seconds to go, it's going to be a good one. We'll get that countdown ready to go. No earnings tonight or anything. Just recap some of the markets, see what's going on the week, maybe touch upon some earnings into next week as well. So now with only 30 seconds, thanks Bears versus Bulls. Thanks everybody. Be safe this weekend no matter what. I mean, I know the Christmas parties have not stopped. So, you know, take your time, take care, catch a ride if you do need one. All right, here we go. We have now only, I'm going to cancel some orders here. I have too many orders out. We'll go countdown right now. With only 10 seconds left, it's Adara on the bell. Good day today. Thank you, Adara, for everything. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And the market has closed. So again, thank you to everybody for taking your time off today. I mean, a lot of people are already off. Hope you were able to make some good trades today. We don't have any red names today. We have Apple's a big positive name for us. AMD was huge. Micron was okay. Could have been better. We didn't have enough shares on that one. And then Rigetti as well. So Apple, AMD, Micron, and Rigetti, 4 for 4. That's a wrap there. Want to thank everybody. Thank you so much. I still have Apple short on. I barely have any shares. I was actually bidding down here in the 20s. Maybe I'll just cover it here in the 60s. Catch that bid there. But yeah, Apple, still have it. It's a nothing trade. We're out of it all. I have a part fill that we didn't get out of. So we'll get out of Apple there into the close. But again, Apple, look, let's just review. Apple today, the only trade we have on, bang, bang. So 2 for 2 there on Apple. I'll just go quickly and then we'll go over to the desk. Not much to do. AMD today, boom to the downside. Big success story there for AMD before getting out of the way as it goes upside. So that's 2 for 2. Micron, huge short into there. And again, the same thing with AMD. Like I said, we did wind up giving a little bit back there on Micron. And then Rigetti, good trade there. Bang there, reloaded there before finally losing the bid and leaving alone in the afternoon. So, hey, lights going off all around here right now, which means I got to throw it back over to the desk. From everybody here at Trader TV Live, please enjoy it with your loved ones this weekend. Be safe, and we'll catch you on Monday. Bye, everybody.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much there, Sean. I feel like my chair is way too high all of a sudden. I'll adjust it so it's like more normal. There's a lot actually. There's a lot to cover. Obviously, we're gonna have a guest. We'll have some fun with there. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask about them. But there's actually Holo. It's not Holo. It's Holo because it's MicroCrowd hologram. HOLO waited till right at the close to break out the top. So another low float runner decides it wants to make its move after the market closes. 5 million share float, up 70% today. It broke out literally right at the close in here. So anyone watching this name, I see a few people in the chat talking about it. I just want to, I'm not throwing cold water on it. All I'm doing is going from a 3-minute chart to a daily chart, okay? So don't at me. You can zoom in that chart and it looks a heck of a lot better than when you zoom out of it. But it's a habitual line stepper. And the line step that it goes across is it goes parabolic into the 50 period. And when it loses it, it goes right back into the low. So look at this. If it can close a couple of days above that, maybe it's a multi-day runner. Just keep that in mind when you look at those types of names. But Adara, it was a very, very red-ish day across the board.
Yeah.
You had some pretty good bounces, but almost pretty much every single major index, the major indexes, the major ETFs, they were all red. I look over at this, and if you can see this little tiny sliver in here, that is URA, which is up 0.46, so 0.5% on URA. But just about everything else was red. You were pointing out a name that we didn't even pay much attention to, Meta, which was a big time follower. But let's be real. You've had a lot of big time runners, and today a lot of people were taking profit off the table. Whether it was in Tesla, which was down 5 points today, whether it was in NVDA, which NVIDIA was down 3. Where did it end up? No, actually only 2%. AMD was weak. We had Apple that was relatively weak. You had Microsoft that had a bad day. Across the board, it was a heck of a lot of weakness. It's a good thing you can also go short. But yeah, it did set up unfortunately, not the Santa Claus rally continuation, because Santa Claus rally is supposed to be into the new year.
Yeah. This is not what we have. This is not what we thought we were going to have anyway. I don't think. This week has felt really, I think, long, too, because we had a lot of wild trading starting on Monday. This week, this is like a 5-day week. It's not even a 5-day week. It's a 3.5-day week, and yet it's had that link to it. But the market's giving you some moves. I was just talking to Neil about this double bottom bounce on Meta, and I'm telling you, this was to the penny, this double bottom. And I know this because I was in the short for the low of daybreak. And then it gives you that exact bounce at that, what is this, like 589.78? And then we pop back to the upside. And then if you were long, which I know because I did get the reversion long here, basically gets stopped out as it breaks below that 596. It holds this 595s, and then it, you know, pulls into 600 at the close. So I would definitely be watching this Meta 595 potentially going into tomorrow. But META, this bounce is great. You had that bounce though in a lot of names. Tesla, though, this is the one a lot of us were looking for, that bounce into the close. And yeah, I was even looking for this 435 bounce when you're holding, you're ranging. It's like, oh, man. And then I pull it up and it's at like 430, and I was like, okay, Tesla. But yeah, you have to, I guess the biggest thing that today really teaches is don't look for things you expect to happen. Look for what the market is telling you it's going to be giving you, because lately it's definitely been really unexpected and really fun.
Yeah, and I think for Meta in particular, because you were just showing that chart, on days like today, it's always important to look at how some of these things close, because there's a very big difference. You just pointed out Tesla at that bottom. There's a very big difference between Meta, which was essentially bleeding at the open like everything else. Well, guess what almost got green? Not quite there, but back to 600 and almost green. And then you look at that daily chart, and look where we bounced. We were just talking about this to end the show. That 50 period on the daily on a quality stock, and it bounces out in front of it and ends up closing with what looks, this is a good looking candle here for Meta. Like on a daily, you like that candle. That is a complete rejection of the under 600 level, and then a hold of the 50 period and a chance to close it out higher and make a run back into those highs. You like that. How did a stock close?
Yeah.
Take it easy there, Sean, as Mr. Katina Man walks away. You know he'll be enjoying a great day trading today, and then a little bit of hockey. I love that he's going to Wonderland, man. Like, you gotta, people sleep on going to amusement parks or theme parks in the winter. But to be honest, it's a heck of a lot of fun. It's a different experience. They have skating at Canada's Wonderland as well. Fabian was just asking, they open up a skating rink. It's a heck of a lot of fun. But how do stocks close? Tesla is a perfect example of the other side of this equation, where you're weak on the day and you close at the lows. Sometimes it's that simple. I start bearish on things that do this, and I start bullish on the things that are the opposite. We had a couple of people in the chat mention GameStop. It's not just big cap names that I care about.
Wow.
So GameStop, bleeding like everything else this morning.
Yeah.
Closing right back at that 32.25. It cannot run away from this price. And if you look at this on the daily, well, what do you, to me, I know it sold off. It's down 2% today. But if you look at this daily chart, again, rejection back underneath that prior resistance 32. And then you're able to close up top here. That's what you want to see, because as long as it holds here, it can have a bunch of red days if it holds on to this 32 level. As long as every time it closes above, it starts to get a little bit more bullish. I think this is what you look for. On a weekday in the market, don't leave it at, hey, this stock closed red. No, you got to do a little more work than that. Find out, how did it close? Was it able to regain key support levels? I think that's always going to be an important thing to watch out for. And that really stood out, like not just on Meta, but certainly standing out here on GME. And then don't forget about the bells of the ball today, because the bells of the ball, volume and volatility-wise, were the quantum stocks.
Oh, yeah, and all these small caps, too. Like, I mean, Drew's been calling it small cap season for the past 2 months. He has not been wrong. I mean, today there was that LITM. Even later in the day, we had that INTZ, that when you were brought to my attention. And then at the same time, it was that SFHG. Like, really, if you were a small cap or a quantum name in today, but especially the past week, month or so, it has been insane. It's just been a really, really good time. So, I mean, lots of fun in those names to be had for sure. And a lot of them still even giving you those moves in the midday instead of having like that pump and dump.
And they're not all, and there's something for everybody. Like in the long side, you had Rigetti, early, and then it caught a very good bottom. And if you're looking at the quantum names, definitely gave you an opportunity there. I mean, D-Wave to me spent most of the day as a short. There was an initial breakout trade, so I had the breakout on D-Wave at 10.50, but then spent most of the rest of the day shorting it off of the $10 level, which I didn't expect that to be true, but it gives you both ways. Like, it broke out, it never got back into those prior highs, and then put in lower highs all the way through. So you got to watch out. I mean, sometimes you're going to have extra volume and volatility, but it doesn't mean that those gap names are guaranteed to be longs for the rest of the day just because they break out early. QBTS was certainly a good example of that. Oh, we got a super chat here from Vasil Momentco. It sucks. I thought we were going to have Riley for the holidays. I guess we might have another chance on Monday. Let's see. I think did you mean a rally for the Mondays? Did you mean actually that B. Riley, the stock? Let me know in the chat which one you meant by that, because that B. Riley is a mover. Obviously, we always want to have, we want to have up days in the market. Ideally, here, let me, it's R-I-L-Y. Is that B. Riley? Yeah, R-I-L-Y. Maybe you did mean this. I mean, I think a lot of people have been hoping that this thing would go up. You know what bugs me about B. Riley was the one where there was the company insider that was looking to take them private at $7.
Yeah.
And then nobody took that seriously, and it bought up for a little bit, and then $7, the same level that I don't know if it was a chairman. I'd have to look it up again. That same level turned into a sell zone on the stock, which is like the opposite of what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's right back at those levels. So if you meant B. Riley, I feel you. This has been a tough one to be in. I think a lot of people, when they look for names with ridiculously high short floats, it's like, oh, it's going to be GameStop again. It's got a ridiculous 62% short float on B. Riley. So everyone wants a stock like this to go, assuming is what you're talking about.
What?
But you can't squeeze unless shorts have a need to cover. And when the trend maintains, then there's no reason for shorts to panic. Every time this pops into that 7 area, it just gets sold off. Like, to me, that's people probably selling even more, and they're dumping on all those pops. You just got to be really careful about these. Because, yeah, the potential is there, but where is the point at which the shorts have felt under pressure at all for something like this to go? It's a weird thing, because for a squeeze name, you'd rather be buying it on momentum at like 720 as it's breaking out than trying to catch a bottom. Because like that bottom, sure, risk to reward's going to be good, but you have no catalyst for it to go. If it was a short-term trader, you want to be joining. If you're sitting there hoping for a swing that you're going to hold for weeks and you got yourself an out, that's a different story. But for a trade, these squeeze names really need to go somewhere. INTZ, don't tell me it finally broke.
Oh, wow.
Where is it? 245. You've got to be kidding me. That's what I mean. This is just how these go sometimes. So I'll give it the bang.
Yeah.
This was the one in the afternoon. Like, I like the trend back up. To me, it's how you finish. It started nasty, selling off. And sometimes this will happen. Be careful with these big time gappers.
Yeah.
Because if it makes a high at 5 a.m. or like 6 a.m. and then gets lower highs going into the open, hands off. Like it's just like, that's me. If it's 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. high and then lower highs after that, no part of it. Let the stock make a bottom after the open. Don't be that person trying to catch where the bid's going to be in the pre-market on one of those, because oftentimes you get rinsed. But you've got to be able to separate what happens in the pre-market versus after the open. And after the open, all it did was bounce, higher low, higher low. Okay, fine. It made a pullback once it got to the opening range top, but then it still put another higher low and gave you VWAP trades. It just couldn't take out the top to the aftermarket. When we're day trading, we're supposed to be flat and not getting into new positions. By the end of the day, I had to come to the desk. But it was probably worth it from a trading aspect to give it one more shot at the long. You just would have had to wait until the aftermarket to get your 10% move. And it gave you nice tight risk to reward most of the time for that long. Daniel's asking me on here in the chat, right in here. By the way, if you want to ask us any questions, Adara and I are going to be here.
Yeah.
We don't have a guest, so any questions you guys can think of, no issues asking them. Just make sure you hit the subscribe, because if you want to put a question in the chat or just engage in our community at all, it is a subs-only chat. So get in there, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, jump in and ask a question. And Danielle is asking, what's your next buy on Boeing? So I think you're probably referring to a couple, like recently when I said Boeing held a 200-period moving average, so I bought when it held this consolidation in my long-term account. Not really looking, it's not a trade for me. This is more of a long-term position for myself. It's already made the hole off the 200-period moving average. I'll admit I don't have a full position. I've been holding on to about 20% of what I would consider a full position in my long-term account. And I did recently sell a bunch of GE, so that's why I wanted to get into, maybe back into some Boeing. And the next time I buy wouldn't be until at least after the next earnings report, right? Because it's already made the 200-period hold, which was the condition that I wanted. Spent so much time underneath this 200-period on the daily, almost the entire year. Once it held that level, I want it in, and then I'm going to wait to the next quarter. Because if they report and we lose the 200-period again, and that's the reaction, I probably don't want to be a buyer of it. So for me in the long term, it's going to matter how they perform more than anything else. But if everything looks good, fine. But I can tell you for an absolute fact, there was a point which when I was still a buyer of Intel, it's like everyone would ask me every single quarter, hey, you buy any more Intel? Nope. And I'd be like, every quarter I'd be like, nope. And then I'd go on some rant about how bad it looked. And I go, the only level to buy was at 25, and then it eventually lost that $25 level. And this is back in here, like 25 was good, 25 was good, 25 was good. And then it would go up. I'd take profit out. And it's like, are you buying on the way back in? Well, they had a bad quarter. Are you buying? And then they would just have another bad quarter, and then another bad quarter. So the answer just kept being no. That's possible for Boeing. Just because it's held that 200-period and I like it now doesn't mean I'm going to like it after the next earnings report. It just means it looks like it's trying to make this bottom and break back out, and that's what I've wanted to see. I want to see the market start to treat them a little bit nicer. And speaking of things that have dipped, I don't want to forget, you were supposed to, there was a question about Eli Lilly in the afternoon chat. I don't remember, I think it was Trader Lay.
Okay, cool.
Was it Trader Lee? Or Lay, I'm not sure which way to pronounce it.
You sent me the comment.
Was asking, wanted some insights on Eli Lilly.
Trader Leah. Yeah, for sure. I can totally do that. I mean, I will say the 3-minute on Lilly is like actually pretty spicy just from today. That 784 area kind of support resistance. But on the daily chart, there are some levels I love, so I will wax poetic. So I've talked about this for a while on Eli Lilly. There is a quite the double top around that 960s. I think the exact level would be around 972, I guess, would be the exact level. But in terms of like opening and closing level, it's closer to 960s. But that's not the only level of interest for me on this daily chart. We actually made a little bit of a double bottom here just above 700. So that 711 level. 711? Hello?
Ew.
But yeah, anyways, so that's a pretty interesting level. And then within these two kind of key levels, I would say the 711, or I guess even further, there's a 711 double bottom and then that double top around 960s. I really love this area in and around 850s. Now, if you can see here, this is now a triple top at this level, but with higher lows. So if we can stay above this 754, breaking below 754 would be lower low. If we could stay above 754 and crack this 850 one more time, I think that would be a great trade. But that being said, the breakout into 850 has also been a really good trade on an intraday standpoint. Like I've mentioned this before, I took an $11 move on one of the Eli Lilly breakouts into that 850 level. So if you're able to take that, not advice, obviously, do your due diligence, use risk management, but the breakouts in that level have been really key. So I think if it actually breaks that level from a daily standpoint, I think that 850 level is huge. That would be my Lilly analysis there. Also, I put this in the chat too, but I do run the Trader TV research account. And for the end of the year, I'm kind of doing something fun, doing a year of review for some of these tickers. I already have one in the works for SMCI. I'm trying to post that probably early next week, maybe Monday. So if there's any tickers that you want to see kind of a review of on the chart, any highs and lows they went through, Palantir is also on my list, as is MSTR. But if there's any here that people are looking at, or you, Neil, if you think of any, let me know. I will try to get to as many as I can into next week and maybe the week after.
I think if I was looking at 2024 and you're just giving me what is the stock that you're just based on the way that it moved in 2024. The most interesting one, to me, I know Fabian just said NVDA, and I know you could make the Palantir has been an absolute rocket ship, but it's the movement on SMCI that to me takes the cake.
That's why
I don't think anything else has had the roller coaster of highs, lows, emotions.
Added and removed from the NASDAQ.
Added and removed from the NASDAQ.
Like it had to be.
Reverse split. when it was a high flyer goes to 1,000, reverse splits because everyone was so was so up and so excited about it. It's unreal what happened to that stock. But I do want to just quickly here. There's a couple of things I wanted. There's a bunch of questions. First of all, thank you, Jamlosi, because he said, read this, Neil. I'm a great teacher. I'll tell you what's really interesting about that. When I was in high school, we had a program where you you'd be a math tutor and you could tutor other students. It was a volunteer thing. You do it at lunchtime. I was always really good at math. Well, I mean, still good at math, but I mean, obviously I'm not in school anymore. I was absolutely terrible I was a really bad tutor. Like, it was horrible. Like, to the point where it's just like, I'm not good at this. I couldn't explain things at all. And it's a skill that you develop. It's not enough. It's weird. It's not enough to just understand and know something.
Yeah.
I find it's a little bit easier, and this is just my 2 cents. Math always came easy to me, so I was really crap at explaining it. But trading is a challenging thing, which is constantly challenging you. So you're always having to, you're getting all these hard lessons in trading, and so I find that easier to explain to people because I'm constantly learning myself. Whereas, a lot of times I was that, in high school, I was always that kid who didn't really study much for math. So therefore, why would I be a good teacher at it? I never actually had to work at it. So it just goes to show, you could be, and it's the same for coaching. Just someone that knows a bunch doesn't necessarily make them a great coach. I'm glad you say that, because I can tell you right now, it's Sean that came from the more of the training background, and he'd done it a heck of a lot longer than I had. I've kind of worked my way into learning to get better at it. So appreciate you there. I know there's a good question from Zorbon, and I know you can probably answer this as well.
Yeah.
Pre-market preparation process. So I find everything from a pre-market preparation process standpoint starts from what to look at. I have a list of names that are on my iPad and I have them grouped. There's the Mag 7 names, and there's usually at least 3 or 4 chip names, and then I'll probably have a couple of crypto names, and then if there's a group of stocks they've been hot for the last few days, or just there are trending stocks a Palantir will be in there a lot of times. Maybe I'll have something like a QBTS or one of the quantum names. And then from there, it's what's going to be on the watch list, what's hot today that I can find. So once I have that list of stocks, I just go through them one by one, and I start outside in. So if I was looking at QBTS, or let's just actually go Rigetti, or RGTI, the first thing I do is I look at the long-term chart. Even if I've already seen it, I start with a daily chart. I start with or daily or weekly chart. Find key levels. Here would be a daily because the weekly is useless. And this doesn't tell me much, but I would go from there into usually a 15 and this is for every single stock, because I'm looking for levels to trade off of. So when I pull up to 15-minute on Rigetti, I was actually mentioning this one to Wayne as well, a lot of times you're just where are you going to find that key price support and resistance on this type of a name? And you can see where some of the consolidations were nice. You had dips, you like the 15 level. Obviously, you didn't get too much of a shot at that until later on in the morning. The prior day high at 15, I actually like the prior day highs, which was 1570, that's this candle here, into this top 1590. That's why I didn't get the long, because to me, the target zone off that 16 level was underneath 16. But that's all I do. I go stock by stock, then I get, these are the price levels I'm interested in, usually have a bit of a bias in every single one of them. But it starts with what names you're interested in. And so that takes me into, between that's what I'm doing between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Yeah. Generally speaking, for that hour, going over each one of those names. And then sometimes you also want to look at, did I trade it before, and what did I do with it the day before, if you haven't already done that. That's my routine, and it always starts from the names I'm watching.
Yeah, I think that's huge too. I think one thing too, because I see the watch list, I know takers even that won't make the watch list, because I usually only do about 9 to 10 that I'll have on my watch personally because of the style I trade, which is generally going to be a little bit more expensive and a bit spreadier. And so those aren't always going to be on the watch list, but they might be on my personal watch list or on my mind. I think one thing too that I find really key is, so if I'm up here, usually what I'll do, if I'm trading up here anyway, I'll have 3 charts on watch on my side charts, and then 2 level 2s and order books. and then I'll have maybe a couple other on different screens because I'm flipping screens, right? So I kind of want to be constantly immersed in what I'm looking at. And depending on what stock too, I want to be watching the book from the open. Like if I have any ideas about trading Tesla, I will be having the Tesla order book up at all times because I want to see how it moves. And I basically only trade Tesla in prepared scalp. So I want to know my entry, I want to know my out right away, and I'm not going to go beyond that. So with that in mind, I have to see how it's interacting at those levels because that's the only way I really feel comfortable trading TSLA, and that's the only way that I found it's actually been profitable for me. So for me, I think the stock that it is really going to depend, and sometimes it changes too. I think that's huge. Like you could have a stock that's going to be on watch for you, and it kind of does nothing. And then you're going to be like, okay, bye, thank you, next. And like Novo was on my watch this morning. I did well with Novo. Novo worked out, and then it kind of, because I only saw it as a long. Once the long ended, I was like, okay, cool, bye Novo, put up another chart. So it's like you have to be really willing to adapt, but also in some ways like be flexible, but also have like your base and have your, it's not, I don't want to say bias, but I have sometimes directional biases too, because if you only see something one way and it doesn't work because the long, that doesn't mean you have to go short. There's always other things to look at.
Yeah, and that's why they call it a bias. Like, is nothing wrong with having a bias, but it's you cannot be an absolute. One of the perfect things you said is you have a list of stocks that you know you have to watch. And all traders do this. And I've seen, and this I can tell you from experience over 20 years of watching other traders. Like whether a trader trades, I've seen traders that trade like 25 stocks, and the momentum guy trades like 25 stocks by the end of the day. Or like you might see Sean only trade 2 or 3. I might be in 5 or 6. I only ever have 4 level 2s up. So like the number of things that I'm actively watching never gets over 4. I might end up trading 7 or 8 stocks on a day. But that's because one stock jumps out and another stock jumps into one of those 4 things that I can watch.
Same.
And that's what happens. And I can tell you this is true, that the trader I'm talking about who had, actually, I just said had. No, literally we were playing poker with him last week. He still trades, and he's been around since 2005. And he's been trading for 19 years. I've seen him trade 25 stocks in a day and never be in more than 4 or 5 at once. Because he's doing that same thing where he knows the list he's looking at, but something, this isn't moving the way I want. I go look, he goes and looks for something that is fitting that bill that can fill that void. And he does that through phases. There's the opening phase, and then the late morning, then the lunchtime, and then late after or the early afternoon, and then the close. He had those 5 phases, and he might have different stocks for each of those. He can end up trading 20-something symbols, but he's never in more than 4 or 5, and he knows what he's looking at. And the key is he has his system, just like everybody else has to have their own system that works for you. I see and Angelo in the chat, NVIDIA top pick for 2025. And then saying, well, I guess you're saying this is yours. And then NVIDIA, Tesla, best 2 stocks to have through 2025. I love both of them. I'm trying to think if I don't know that I would put them at the top of my list. I'm very partial to some of the really good PE big cap names.
Yeah.
You know, I really like where Meta's come back to on a PE basis, or at least where they're coming back to on a PE basis. I think Alphabet's starting to get reasonable as well, although I think it's a little bit high flying. But I cannot argue. Like if I had to, if he said, Neil, every single mega cap name that you have, you've got to trim all of them but 2. I'd essentially be picking. I'd be picking like, do I want to keep Google or Apple? That's my decision. Am I keeping Google or Apple for the safer one? And am I keeping Tesla or NVIDIA? If I had to pare it down to 2, those are the 4 I'd be picking from, and I'd group them that way. And I'd probably end up going with NVIDIA over Tesla begrudgingly, even though I really like Tesla. It'd be something along those lines.
Okay.
And then Scott Angel saying Palantir maybe like NVIDIA in 2025.
Interesting.
So, well, I would make the argument that it's difficult for that to be true because Palantir NVIDIA this year.
Yeah.
Like Palantir 2024 was NVIDIA's 2023. So I guess if you're looking at the follow-up, it's a good question. Maybe I don't want a daily chart. How about a weekly chart be a little bit better for this? A weekly chart's a little bit better for this. So I think what you're looking at is, okay, so 2023, we all know that was NVIDIA when you could have had this sucker essentially for like effectively $25, and it went, by the time you got to 2024, it was pushing in 3x. And then it did another parabolic move. So I think Palantir is very reasonable to say it's in that same phase. Where this matters is note the difference and how 2023, nobody was really selling NVIDIA. like it more consolidated when it reached a high as opposed to pulled back. In 2024, NVIDIA had a 97 to 76 pullback, which wasn't even that big. Then the 137 all the way back into that 90s. That's the kind of year I would expect Palantir to have next year because I think it's in a different phase. Like Palantir is going to have some 20, 30% drawback weeks on Palantir. That's what should happen to me. It doesn't mean the upward trend is broken. I think to me, the stocks are longs till they're not. They're shorts till they're not when they start going parabolic. But I would agree with you that it's in that kind of phase. If that's the comparison that you were making. Will it be as strong as NVIDIA was in 2024? I'm a little bit skeptical about that because of the market conditions in general. I don't think will be remotely the same. It's not the same bull market that it will be next year that it was last year. Different administrations. A lot of things that have changed. I think one of the things that you got to consider, which could be a little bit, it could be a headwind for Palantir, is if they actually do some defense cutting. This Doge thing can't cut. Like Elon and Doge, you can't effectively cut without actual defense cutting. And I think that's exactly the kind of thing that could cause people to take some profit on Palantir in the way back. That's just my 2 cents.
That's a real, or like LMT could be on watch. Then you could get RTX on watch.
Yeah.
Boeing is sometimes called a defense name, so you could watch Boeing as well.
Lockheed's already bleeding.
Yeah, LMT. I did mention LMT. I was like, I thought there was one I forgot.
Yeah, that one's already bleeding. Is it already 4:30?
How?
How do these things happen? Usually there's like a siren, like, by the way, Neil, you're rambling on when you're answering these questions. But thank you guys so much for all the questions that you did ask.
It was a fun session. Yeah.
It's always fun to do it, and we can do this forever. We love talking about the markets, and obviously we have a great community. You guys shower us with we appreciate the praise. We love it. I love thinking about interesting questions, even if I don't have an answer. I think we got that. You learn by thinking about difficult or new things, right? Like not by thinking about the same stuff that's in your head all the time.
I agree. That's how I learned the markets. Is literally just from hearing you guys and having the opportunity to interact and talk to everybody.
And that's what it's all about. You know what else it's all about? It's about the roll call that's about to get dropped. And we only have a few more roll calls till the end of the year, so if you don't know the drill is this. Hit the subscribe button, because once you do that, you can post in the chat. And once you can post in the chat, you post some kind of thanks. Anybody on the team you want to thank Fabian and Ramina on the ones and twos, you go ahead and do that. You want to thank Andre for the great social media material that we have come out there, go ahead and do that. The Midday Boys cooking it every single day, Sharif and Joey Options, give a shout out to them. Michael Moss, our guest in the morning, shout him out. Obviously a fantastic opportunity every time we have him. Big shout out to Adara on the news desk, of course, and dropping her Eli Lilly knowledge for everybody. And give a big shout out to my man Sean, who's on the way. I think he's on the way to the rink again, because that's what he does on the weekends. Give him a shout out for all the trades in here today. Make sure you give a big shout out to Bears versus Bulls, though. The best moderator in the business. And as a matter of fact, that's what I'm going to do right now, so I can hear Adara say even my name during roll call.
Thank you to Bears versus Bulls. Happy belated birthday to Neil. Thank you to Neil, Sean,
Thanks.
Joe, Sharif. We had Obi on yesterday. We have Fabian, Ramin, Andre, and we also have Bob S., Gregory Graham, Mark L., Danielle Len, Nephew with the capital P, Gemolosi, Mark L., Mr. Pink, Vader Trader, Frank Handley, Drops Trades, Michelle Meir, Tim Snyder, Leon, Neil Roberts. We've got Bob S., DW, oh my God, that reminds me of Arthur's sister. Oh my gosh, hi DW. Damian Tarsa, Miss Gill, Rescue and Renew with Jason Reynolds, Bearded Warrior Trades, RTJ, Fat Figa, Scott Angels, Christopher Leroy, Dollar Bill, Runs with Bulls, Digital Gravity, Kango D, Rilla, Havana Woody. I'm going to end there. Thank you guys so much to everyone for being here every single day. But there's 2 more sessions left to trade in the before we get a new year. And we're going to be here so you can trade with us.
Not much left for 2024. We'll be here all for it. And you know what? That's the best thing about these markets. Hey, even when the year ends, we'll be back in 2025. So for everybody from Trader TV Live, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back. We'll see you 8:30 Monday morning, bright and early. Good luck and have a great weekend.
Good night.
Argentina, nice.